हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज मैं इसका नेक्स्ट पार्ट लेके आ चुका हूँ गाइस। और मैं एक बात बताना चाहता था गाइस कि मैंने मोनेटाइज करने के लिए अपना चैनल को दे दिया हूँ, येलो चैनल को 500 सब्सक्राइबर में जो मोनेटाइज होता है ना, वो मैंने दे चुका हूँ। मैं ये देना चाहता था इसलिए क्योंकि है ना, मैं चेक कर रहा हूँ गाइस कि कहीं इस बार का मोनेटाइज होगा कि नहीं होगा। और अगर मोनेटाइज नहीं होता है गाइस तो मुझे है ना यूट्यूब एक तरह से क्वाइट ही करना होगा, या फिर दूसरा चीज़ में हमको जाना होगा। फैन फिक्शन में फिर मैं नहीं चला पाऊँगा इस, क्योंकि आपको पता है होगा जो मेरे ओल्ड सब्सक्राइबर, ये मेरा सेकंड चैनल है। फर्स्ट चैनल में 2000 से भी ऊपर सब्सक्राइबर हो गए थे, तो यूट्यूब लिटरली उसका मोनेटाइजेशन ही कैंसिल कर दिया, तो मुझे ये वाला में आना पड़ा। देखिए, इसी वजह मैं 500 सब्सक्राइबर हो के आया हूँ। और अगर ये हो गया मोनेटाइज गाइस, तो मैं मेंबरशिप नहीं लाऊंगा गाइस इस बार, है ना। सिर्फ है ना, यानी कि और ऑल है ना वीडियो सब है ना नॉर्मली आएगा, कोई भी मेंबरशिप में जाएगा ही नहीं इस चैनल में।
Chapter 20 The Masked Man. I am Tang Chen. Kamui Dimension. Here, there was eternal silence. Massive deep blue rectangular pillars stood scattered in an orderly fashion within the void realm, stretching into the darkness at the end of sight. In this world of dead silence, there were only two living people. One of them was clad in a black robe, wearing a tiger skin mask, sitting cross-legged atop the highest stone pillar. The other was bound by thick black chains to a stone platform below. Genjutsu. Release. Huo Yuhao slowly opened his right eye. The scarlet Mangekyo Sharingan spun slightly. The bound Tangya's body jolted violently, and her previously tightly closed eyes snapped open. Confusion, dizziness, fear. Countless negative emotions instantly flooded her heart. Tanya subconsciously tried to struggle, wanting to mobilize the spirit power in her body. But those black chains seemed to possess a sealing power. No matter how she tried to activate it, her spirit power remained as stagnant as dead water, without a single ripple. Where's this? She looked around in terror. The unfamiliar environment was completely different from any scenery on the Douluo continent. She remembered now, she had been at the Sea God Lake shore when she was captured by a black-robed man wearing a mask. You're awake. That low, raspy voice came from above. Tanya snapped her head up, staring fixedly at the masked man, shouting with forced bravado. Where's this? Let me go. I am a student of Shrek Academy. If they find out I'm missing, the Academy will definitely investigate to the end. No matter where you run, Shrek will never let you off. Facing Tanya's threat, Huo Yuhao only gave a faint, light chuckle. That laughter echoed in the empty space, carrying endless mockery. Shrek. Huo Yuhao slowly stood up, looking down at her from above. Little girl, save your energy. This is already a world outside the Douluo continent. It is a domain that belongs solely to me. He spread his arms, as if embracing this void realm. In this space, I control everything. Forget about Shrek Academy. Even the dragon god Douluo, Elder Mew, couldn't possibly find you. Elder Mew. Tanya's heart skipped a violent beat. An ordinary person might not know who Elder Mew was. But as the Tang sect leader and Bebe's lover, she knew all too well what that name represented. That was the current ceiling of the continent's combat power, a rank 99 limit Douluo. This masked man before her didn't even take Elder Mew seriously, and he claimed this was outside the continent. An unprecedented sense of despair enveloped Tanya. Not on the Douluo continent, how is that possible? Even a titled Douluo, or even a limit Douluo, couldn't possibly possess such world-altering means, right? Tanya took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Who exactly are you? Why did you go to such lengths to capture me and bring me here? Huo Yuhao slowly floated down from above, his black robe fluttering without wind, finally stopping 3 meters in front of Tanya. Through the mask, that single scarlet eye held a suffocating depth. This seat is named Uchiha Madara. Tanya froze. She rapidly searched through the rosters of major sects and historical powerhouses in her mind, but she had never heard of this name. Never heard of it. Huo Yuhao seemed to see through her thoughts, his voice taking on a hint of age and playfulness. That's right, that's a name from a long time ago. He took a step forward, the aura on his body suddenly shifting. Since you are a descendant of the Tang sect, then my other identity is one you should be even more familiar with. Huo Yuhao paused, then spat out that name word by word. Tang Chen. Boom. Those two words were like a clap of thunder. Her eyes widened, her pupils constricted violently, and her breathing almost stopped. Tang Chen. The great-great-grandfather of ancestor Tang San from 10,000 years ago. One of the 3 great limit Douluos of that era. The former clear sky sect master. The Asura god successor, Tang Chen. How is this possible? After the initial shock, Tanya's first reaction was that it was absurd. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. She argued loudly, trying to use logic to pierce through this lie. The family record stated very clearly, although ancestor Tang Chen's sanity was restored by ancestral master Tang San, his body had long been overdrawn by the 9-headed bloody crimson bat king, and his physical body collapsed and he died shortly after. Who are you really? Stop playing tricks here. Facing Tanya's doubt, Huo Yuhao did not explain. He just looked at her quietly, and the Mangekyo Sharingan in his right eye suddenly began to spin frantically. The wisdom of mortals is always blinded by so-called records. Since you don't believe it, then let me make you recall. The fear that belongs to Asura. Buzz. The entire world changed. The moment Tanya's voice fell, the surrounding blue stone pillars in the pitch-black void realm shattered instantly. In their place was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The sky turned dark red, and beneath her feet were countless white bones. The air was thick with the smell of blood, as if countless aggrieved souls were wailing in her ears. This is. Before she could react. In the sky, a blood-colored rift tore open. A massive, entirely blood-red demon sword, carrying an aura of slaughter that could destroy heaven and earth, slowly poked out its tip. That was the Asura demon sword. Accept your judgment. Huo Yuhao's voice came from the horizon like divine punishment. Boom. The demon sword fell. That aura of slaughter, which surpassed her dimensional understanding, instantly locked onto her. This was not a power of the mortal realm at all, this was a god's judgment. No. Tanya let out a scream of despair. But before that giant sword, which was enough to split heaven and earth, her voice seemed so insignificant. Poochie. The giant sword fell, splitting her entire body in two. Agony. The excruciating pain of a soul being torn apart. Her vision went black, and her consciousness dissipated. However, the next second, Tanya snapped her eyes open. She found in terror that she was standing in the same spot, completely unharmed. Resurrected. Before she could feel relieved, a massive blood-colored energy slash swept toward her. Puff. Death again. Once, and again, and again. In the genjutsu, time seemed to lose its meaning. Tanya no longer knew how many times she had died. 100 times. 1,000 times. The pain of every death was real, and the fear of every rebirth was doubled. That shuddering from the depths of her soul completely shattered her psychological defenses. Finally. Just as her consciousness was about to completely collapse and fall into the brink of madness. Wake up. A low shout, like a life-saving rope, pulled her back from hell into reality. Huff, huff, huff. Tanya panted heavily, gasping for air. Her face was as pale as paper, and her pupils were unfocused. So, I'm not dead. She tremblingly raised her head. What entered her sight was still that black-robed man wearing the tiger skin mask. But this time, her gaze had changed. It was no longer doubt, no longer anger, but deep fear and awe. At this moment, an aura that made her soul tremble was radiating from Huo Yuhao's body. That was the divine pressure, simulated by Huo Yuhao through fully activating the Ghetto statue and combining it with genjutsu. That aura was ancient, domineering, and filled with slaughter, as if the entire world would collapse with just a thought from him. Tanya had never seen such pure, such supreme killing intent in her life. Even Elder Mu, the strongest person she knew, seemed as insignificant as a firefly before this aura. If it wasn't the Asura god successor from back then, if it wasn't the man who once reigned as king in the Slaughter City, how could he possess such an aura? Huo Yuhao stood with his hands behind his back, red light flowing in that single eye, his voice indifferent. Little girl. Now, do you believe? Tanya nodded tremblingly, tears flowing uncontrollably. A space outside the Douluo continent. Means that transcended life and death. Pressure that stood above a limit Douluo. All of this had completely exceeded her scope of knowledge. Aside from that legendary man, she couldn't think of a second possibility. Junior, Tanya, pays respects to old ancestor Tang Chen. Looking at the girl who finally lowered her head, a smirk of success curled at the corner of Huo Yuhao's mouth under the mask. It worked. The aura enhancement of the Ghetto statue, combined with the psychological suggestion of the Sharingan Genjutsu. Fooling a little girl with only 3 rings was as easy as turning over a hand. Chapter 21, Tanya's collapse. The Tang sect will be renamed the Root Organization. Looking at Tanya, who was kneeling before him and trembling, Huo Yuhao, wearing the tiger skin mask, did not let her stand up. He held his hands behind his back, his voice carrying a sense of vicissitude as if he had seen through the world. Little girl, I understand your doubts and the confusion in your heart. The decline of the Tang sect, the helplessness when it was exterminated by the Iron Blood sect, and Shrek Academy's chilling indifference. Huo Yuhao paused, his single crimson eye narrowing slightly, his tone suddenly turning icy. All of this was no accident. The root of all this is because this world is fake. Boom. These words struck Tanya's heart like a heavy hammer. She looked up abruptly, her face filled with disbelief. The world is fake. What does that mean? Huo Yuhao did not answer directly. In truth, I did not die back then as recorded in the family's ancient texts. At the final moment when my body was about to collapse, I used the last trace of Asura god divine force remaining in my body to strip my soul from my physical form, finding an alternative method for eternal life. In my long life that seems to have no end, I have searched every corner of the continent and pored over countless secrets of the god realm. Huo Yuhao stopped, turned around abruptly, and stared intently at Tanya. Finally, I discovered the truth of everything. This world is like a giant puppet stage, and we are all pawns manipulated at will. Manipulated, Tanya murmured to herself. Exactly. Huo Yuhao sneered. Back then, when I was undergoing the Asura god trial in the Slaughter City, why was I interfered with by the parasite of the 9-headed bloody crimson bat king? Was it the Rakshasa god's conspiracy? No, that was just the surface. The truth is, it was the Asura god's intentional indulgence in order to pass the god position to that brat Tang San. Tanya's mouth fell open in shock. She had never thought that such a dirty deal was hidden behind the family legends. But this is just the beginning. Huo Yuhao continued, his tone carrying a suggestive rhetorical question. Little girl, based on what you know, what is the fundamental reason for the Tang sect's decline? Tanya answered subconsciously, it's because of the collision between the Sun Moon continent and the Douluo continent 4,000 years ago. They brought spirit tool technology, and the Tang sect's hidden weapons couldn't keep up with the times, so. Foolish. Huo Yuhao interrupted her sharply, your understanding of matters is far too superficial. The essence of all this is because of that brat Tang San's manipulation. Impossible, Tanya reflexively retorted, Ancestor Tang San is the founder of our Tang sect, how could he harm the Tang sect? How could he? Huo Yuhao smiled contemptuously, seeing is believing. He waved his right hand abruptly. Sharingan ocular power erupted, and an illusion was constructed. The scene before Tanya's eyes changed instantly. She felt as if she were 10,000 meters high in the sky, looking down as 2 massive continental plates slowly approach each other. That was the scene from 4,000 years ago. Above the Sea God Island, countless titled Douluo-level experts were poised and ready, preparing to stop this collision that could bring war. Just then, a golden divine oracle descended from the sky. The image zoomed in, and Tanya clearly saw that the oracle contained the Sea God's will, forcibly suppressing the actions of the Sea God Island experts, ordering them, follow heaven's mandate, do not interfere. Do you see? Huo Yuhao's voice sounded in her ear like a demon's whisper. The Sun Moon continent didn't have to border the Douluo continent. If it were for peace, the Sea God Island was fully capable of preventing this collision. But Tang San stopped them. If Tang San hadn't stopped them, spirit tool technology wouldn't have impacted the Douluo continent. Then would the Tang sect still have declined because its hidden weapons were outdated? Tanya looked at the Sea God Island experts in the image who were standing idly by, and the faith she had always held onto began to crumble. Why did the ancestor do this? Immediately after, Huo Yuhao threw out an even more fatal question. Aren't you curious, why does the Tang sect have such a strange rule, that only blue silver grass spirit masters can become the sect leader? Tanya was stunned. That's because ancestral master Tang San's spirit was also blue silver grass. You also understand that the brat Tang San's spirit was not blue silver grass at all. Huo Yuhao coldly pierced through that layer of deception. It was the Blue-Silver Emperor, the top-tier ruler of the plant system. And what is ordinary blue-silver grass? It's a trash spirit. By letting someone with a trash spirit lead the sect, how could this sect not decline? The fundamental reason for all this is that he wanted the Tang sect to gradually decline, finally reaching the bottom of its misfortune in our era. This. Tang Yao once again questioned her life. She felt the worldview she had built in the first half of her life being shattered piece by piece. Seeing that the time was right, Huo Yuhao threw out the final truth. All this planning was because Tang San wanted to plunder the child of fortune of this era. He needed a declining Tang sect and a Shrek on the brink of desperation to make that child of fortune feel sympathy and form bonds. To deeply bind the child of fortune with the Tang sect and Shrek, and ultimately become a loyal dog of his Tang clan. And in this process, Shrek Academy naturally wanted to take the opportunity to profit. Huo Yuhao pointed at Tang Ya, his tone full of pity. Over these years, the Tang sect has withered day by day, bullied by the Iron Blood sect, and Shrek Academy just watched from the side. You think they were powerless? No, they were fueling the fire. Because only when the Tang sect is completely wiped out can they rightfully take over the Tang sect's legacy and take in that child of fortune. This is just like what little Yuhao mentioned before, the Uzumaki clan and the Konoha sect. Tang Ya couldn't help but think. Exactly the same. Tang Ya slumped onto the ground. She thought of Bebe. Bebe is Elder Mu's great-great-grandson. Elder Mu was the master of the Sea God Pavilion. Could it be, Elder Mu's plan was to have Bebe infiltrate the Tang sect? Using feelings to bind me and completely control the Tang sect's final remaining value. A chill of being betrayed by the whole world swept through her body. Huo Yuhao gave her no chance to breathe and continued with the final blow. The reason I say this world is fake is because before these high and mighty gods, our lives and destinies can be manipulated at will. Think about your parents. They weren't supposed to die. How would a mere Iron Blood sect dare to touch the Tang sect? It was all because of Tang San, and the acquiescence and conspiracies of those hypocrites at Shrek. Ah. Tang Ya clutched her head and let out a shrill scream. Anger, hatred, and despair erupted completely at this moment. That's why I established the Akatsuki organization. Huo Yuhao spread his arms, his voice becoming impassioned. All these years, I have been walking in the darkness, seeking an opportunity to fight against the God realm. And this person is the core of my plan, the true child of fortune of the Douluo continent. Saying this, Huo Yuhao stepped aside. From behind a blue stone pillar, a figure slowly walked out. He wore a black robe embroidered with red auspicious clouds, and his face was also covered by a white spiral mask. The white mask gradually swirled and dissolved, revealing a delicate yet determined face that Tang Yao was incredibly familiar with. Little Yuhao. Tang Yao was so shocked she forgot to cry. How is it you? That was a clone Huo Yuhao had created using the wood clone technique, currently wearing the Akatsuki organization uniform. The clone Huo Yuhao walked up to Tang Ya, his voice low. Teacher Xiaoya, I'm sorry for keeping this from you for so long. On the night I was about to be killed by my enemies, it was Lord Madara who saved me. He told me the whole truth and gave me the power for revenge. I have also joined his Akatsuki organization. The clone looked up, black flames burning in those eyes. Because I also want to break this fake world. At this moment, Tang Ya's final psychological defense collapsed. Huo Yuhao's personal testimony became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Even little Yuhao is a member of the Akatsuki organization, then what am I still holding on to? The black-robed original Huo Yuhao spoke at the right moment. Using the Asura God divine force, I found the seed of this world's origin God tree. As long as this seed is awakened and the God tree is planted in this world. At that time, we will obtain power beyond the God realm. Even Tang San will be nothing. Tang Ya. If you join the Akatsuki organization, I will help you exterminate the Iron Blood sect, leaving no one alive. Then, I will give you the power to truly become strong, so that you are no longer a pawn at anyone's mercy. Tang Ya looked at that hand, then at the determined, little Yuhao, beside her. The corners of her mouth began to curl up, and her body began to tremble. A sickly flush appeared on her cheeks. Ha ha, ha 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 ha. The laughter went from low to shrill, finally turning into a frenzied, mad laugh. Ha 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 ha. So that's how it is. So this is the truth. This world really is fake. I'm in. Tang Ya looked up, her once clear eyes now completely black, like a bottomless abyss. From now on, there is no more Tang Ya, the sect leader of the Tang sect. The Tang sect will temporarily be renamed the Root Organization. I want the roots of the God tree to grow deep into this decaying continent. And completely shatter this fake world. Chapter 22, Tang Ya's Will of Root, Fusion with White Zetsu Cells. Feeling Tang Ya's pitch black will, Huo Yuhao, wearing the tiger skin mask, nodded slightly. As expected. The more kind and sunny a person originally was. Once their faith collapses and they fall into darkness, they become increasingly extreme and cruel. Obito in Naruto was like this, and the Tang Ya before him was the same. Very good, Tang Ya. This resolve is exactly what you lacked. With a flick of his wrist, a special metal syringe appeared out of thin air in Huo Yuhao's palm. Within the transparent needle tube, a white liquid flowed. Upon closer inspection, the liquid seemed to have a life of its own, slowly wriggling and dividing. This is my promise to you. Huo Yuhao handed the syringe to Tang Ya, his voice low and full of temptation. This is the origin substance this old man extracted from the seed of the God tree. It possesses the power of all creation in this world, containing boundless vitality and devouring power. Inject it. If you can endure it, it will grant you power you once found unimaginable, allowing you to truly step into the forest of the strong. But if your will is not firm, you will be devoured by it and turned into a mindless tree. These were white Zetsu cells extracted by Huo Yuhao from the Gedo statue. Although not as domineering as true Hashirama cells, they were by no means something an ordinary spirit master's body could withstand. Tang Ya stared fixedly at the syringe. If it were before, she might have hesitated or been afraid. But after learning the truth of the world, and experiencing the collapse of her faith, only a thirst for power remained in her heart. Her spirit was blue-silver grass, but it wasn't ordinary blue-silver grass, it was dark blue-silver grass with a devouring attribute. In order not to be treated as an evil soul master by the Academy, for the sake of the so-called righteous path, I have always suppressed my spirit's nature, not daring to devour life, only daring to secretly absorb some energy from plants. And the result? The result was that my cultivation stagnated, and I became a bottom-tier existence in the Shrek Outer Academy, without even the qualification to protect the Tang sect. To hell with the righteous path. To hell with being an evil soul master. In this false world, only power is real. Junior Tangya. Tangya reached out with trembling hands and took the cold syringe, her eyes becoming firmer than ever before. Thank you, old ancestor, for granting me this opportunity. Without any hesitation. Pucci. The sharp needle pierced deep into the vein of her right arm. Ah. After only 2 seconds, Tangya let out a shrill scream. That wasn't ordinary pain. It felt as if thousands of tree roots were growing frantically in her blood vessels, trying to burst her, tear her apart, and use her as nourishment. Immediately after, a terrifying mutation began to occur in her right arm. The skin became rough and hardened, actually showing a woody texture. Several tender green sprouts even pierced through the skin and grew out. That was the wood release power within the white Zetsu cells trying to usurp the host and assimilate her. Teacher Xiaoya, hang in there. The clone Huo Yuhao on the side shouted at the right time, his voice filled with anxiety and encouragement. Don't lose it, use your will to suppress it. Once you cross this hurdle, the world of the strong awaits you. Tangya knelt on one knee on the ground, cold sweat mixing with blood as it dripped down. Her consciousness began to blur. Amidst the extreme pain, countless images flashed through her mind like a revolving lantern. Her parents' doting smiles, the happiness of running on the Tangsek's grass as a child, the scene shifted. It was that bloody rainy night. People from the Iron Blood sect burst into her home, her parents lying in a pool of blood, those despairing eyes, as well as the high and mighty elders of Shrek Academy, Bebe's dismissive words and evasive gaze, and the false world controlled by others that the masked man had shown her. No, I can't die here. I haven't had my revenge yet. I haven't made those hypocrites pay the price yet. I want to break this false world. Get back. Tangya let out a roar. In that instant, the resentment and obsession in her body turned into the most powerful mental force. The dark blue silver grass spirit released automatically, and the originally deep blue vines now turned pitch black as ink. They wrapped frantically around Tangya, engaging in a struggle and fusion with the rampaging wood release power. Crack. The skin on Tangya's back split open, and a thick tree branch suddenly sprouted out, but under the suppression of her incredible willpower, the branch did not continue to grow wildly, but instead quickly retracted and reintegrated into her body. Finally, the mutation stopped. Tangya collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. But the aura on her body had undergone an earth-shaking change. The sense of fragility that originally belonged to the blue silver grass was completely gone. In its place was a tough, heavy, and predatory terrifying aura. It's a success. Huo Yuhao watched this scene, a flash of satisfaction in his eyes. Tangya slowly stood up. She raised her right hand, and with a thought. Boom. The ground of the Kamui dimension trembled. It was no longer thin vines. A strange tree, as thick as a thigh, pitch black all over, and covered with eerie red patterns on its surface, suddenly burst out of the ground behind her. The branches spread out, and the edge of every leaf was covered with fine serrations, emitting devouring fluctuations. This was a brand new spirit that combined the characteristics of white Zetsu cells and dark blue silver grass. Tangya stroked the rough tree trunk, feeling the surging power within her body. Spirit power, rank 34. Increased by 2 ranks in a row. She looked at her spirit, a seductive smile curling at the corners of her mouth. This spirit of mine should now be called the dark blue silver tree. Not only did her spirit power increase, but more importantly, her life level had leapt. She could feel that as long as she was willing, this tree could instantly suck dry the vitality of a spirit master of the same rank. Very good. Huo Yuhao stood with his hands behind his back and commented indifferently. This power suits you very well. Moreover, it has extremely strong camouflage properties. This dark blue silver tree has 2 forms. As long as you wish, it can revert to the appearance of ordinary blue silver grass at any time, and its aura will become harmless to humans and animals. In front of those old fellows at Shrek, as long as you don't actively expose your devouring ability, no one will be able to discover the truth of your spirit. This was the survival way of the root. Usually buried deep underground, at the critical moment, it bursts out of the earth and strangles everything. Hearing this, Tangya felt greatly relieved. She retracted her spirit and returned to her seemingly fragile young girl appearance, but the touch of darkness deep in her eyes could no longer be erased. She bowed deeply to Huo Yuhao on the high platform, her tone pious and fanatical. Thank you, old ancestor, for the grace of remaking me. Tangya will certainly carry out your will. I will make the roots of the god tree take root in every corner of the Douluo continent. This is my will of root. This is my way of doing things. Chapter 23, Nine-Faced Sub-UT, merging the summoning technique and spirit soul system. Rise. You are still weak right now, I will send you back first. Huo Yuhao stood with his hands behind his back, his tone carrying the calm of one who had everything under control. When the time is right, I will send my successor, Huo Yuhao, to assist you in your revenge. Remember, for now, you are only an outer circle member of my Akatsuki organization. When you personally destroy the Iron Blood sect and wash away your shame with the blood of your enemies, I will personally grant you the status of an inner circle member and bestow upon you even greater power. Tangya nodded respectfully in agreement, a fanatical light flickering in her eyes. So that's how it is. No wonder little Yuhao possesses such terrifying strength and shrewdness at such a young age. He is actually the successor of the ancestor Tang Chen. Seeing that the time was ripe, Huo Yuhao said no more. He sensed the outside world, confirming that the sea god lake shore was still deserted. Kamui. The 3-side pattern in his right eye slowly rotated. Ripples appeared in the air, and a black spatial vortex formed out of nowhere, instantly swallowing Tangya's figure. In the next second, she had already been sent back to the cold sea god lake shore. Huo Yuhao stood on a stone pillar within the Kamui dimension, looking at the empty high platform, a cold smile curling at the corner of his mouth. He wasn't worried at all that Tangya would betray him. The white Zetsu cells were not just for enhancing strength. Just then, that long-awaited electronic voice rang out in his mind once again. Ding. Congratulations to the host for guiding 1/2 key figures toward a destiny different from the original work. Uchiha Obito Tiger Skin Mask Template Unlock Progress, 1/2. Rewards issued. Kamui intangibility duration increased by 20 seconds, summoning technique. Huo Yuhao felt a wave of coolness in his right eye, as if parched land had been nourished by sweet rain. The soreness brought by frequent use of ocular technique vanished instantly, and his control over the Kamui dimension reached a new level. But what interested him even more was the newly acquired ninjutsu. Summoning technique. Huo Yuhao sat cross-legged and began to digest the extra knowledge in his mind. In this world, how could the summoning technique be used? Summoning ninja tools. In that regard, storage spirit tools were more convenient and faster, requiring no hand signs. Contracting spirit beasts. Wait, a contract. Isn't that just another form of the spirit soul system? A bold idea took shape in his mind. Huo Yuhao did not hesitate, and his consciousness instantly sank into the sea of consciousness. Above that dark abyss, the grey bead representing Electrolux's divine sense was floating quietly, its light dim, as if it could go out at any moment. Old sir. Huo Yuhao's voice echoed in the sea of consciousness, can you hear me? I think I found a way to stabilize your soul. After a moment of dead silence. The grey bead flickered slightly, and Electrolux's extremely weak voice came through. Oh, cough cough, child, what idea do you have? Huo Yuhao didn't waste words, he used his mental force to imprint a copy of the contract principles of the newly acquired summoning technique and passed it to Electrolux. This kind of formula is called the summoning technique. Old sir, please see if you can use this principle to establish a contract between your divine sense and my second spirit, the ghetto statue. Electrolux fell silent. He carefully analyzed the unfamiliar structure of the technique, and the more he looked, the more alarmed he became. Although the systems were different, the law of the contract within it was exceptionally exquisite. Wonderful, truly wonderful. A hint of life-chi appeared in the old man's voice, entrusting the soul to a contracted object, sharing life and energy. Child, you are truly a genius. The core of that statue of yours contains an unbelievably vast vitality. If I can establish a connection with it and use that vitality for nourishment, my broken soul will definitely be revived. Then let's begin. Huo Yuhao formed hand signs, and the sea of consciousness surged with wind and clouds. Summoning jutsu. At the same time, Electrolux mobilized his last bit of divine sense power to draw a grey necromantic magic circle. The two forces met in midair and finally imprinted heavily onto the forehead of the massive ghetto statue. Buzz. The ghetto statue shook violently. A visible stream of green life energy flowed through the contract channel, continuously pouring into the grey bead. The originally dim grey bead instantly erupted with brilliant light. Boom. A mental pressure as vast as the sea erupted within Huo Yuhao's sea of consciousness. Fragments reassembled, and memories returned. The calamity of the undead who once dominated the world and made the entire plane tremble had returned. An old but upright figure condensed within the light. He wore magnificent grey robes, held a staff, and roared toward the heavens. Holding the sun and moon, plucking the stars, there's no one like me in this world. After a long time, the light dissipated. Electrolux slowly descended, looking at Huo Yuhao before him, the pride in his eyes turning into kindness and gratitude. I remember everything. My name is Electrolux. Child, thank you for your help. Since we have already signed a contract, you can call me Elder Yi from now on. Huo Yuhao nodded, neither humble nor arrogant. Elder Yi, you can just call me Huo Yuhao. As for worrying about Electrolux betraying him. What a joke. Even putting aside Electrolux's character, the contract was already etched onto the ghetto statue. Under the absolute suppression of the ghetto statue, Electrolux was now essentially Huo Yuhao's summoned beast. Life and death were entirely within his single thought. Electrolux stroked his beard, looking at the ghetto statue below, his eyes flashing with the light of wisdom. Yuhao, that summoning technique just now gave me a lot of inspiration. It shares a common purpose with an unfinished magic I researched in my previous life, Spirit Soul. If you don't mind, we can try to combine these two types of techniques. Huo Yuhao's heart stirred. Spirit Soul. Correct. Electrolux waved his staff, and countless golden runes surrounded him. Inside the belly of that statue of yours, a big worm has been swallowed. Its energy is too massive. With your current body, you simply cannot fully mobilize it. But if we combine the summoning technique and Spirit Soul magic. Electrolux tapped his staff, and countless runes flew toward the ghetto statue. We can divide and reassemble that energy you cannot digest. Using the summoning technique as the carrier and the Spirit Soul as the core. We can create 9 energy summoned beasts that are more efficiently utilized, completely under your control, and possess independent forms. Huo Yuhao's eyes instantly lit up. Dividing energy. Summoned beasts. He had previously been troubled by only being able to borrow a tiny fraction of the heavenly dream ice worm's power, only able to manifest a tailed beast cloak. If he could transform those million years of cultivation into actual combat power. Good, let's do it. Under Electrolux's guidance, a brand new set of techniques merging the Naruto system and necromantic magic was born. Yuhao, this set of techniques was created by both of us. Electrolux said with a smile, give it a name. Huo Yuhao looked at those 9 clumps of energy, and the image of the man from the Naruto movie of his past life, who also wore a mask and also commanded 9 beasts, Uzumaki Menma, surfaced in his mind. A wicked curve hooked at the corner of his mouth. Since there are 9, then let's call it 9-Face Sub-UT. Chapter 24, 9-Face Beast, Tanya, I am the one who knows everything. 9-Face Sub-UT, not bad, it's a good name. Huo Yuhao sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. In his mind, the 9 masked beasts driven by the man named Uzumaki Menma from his past life memories emerged. Shape transformation, granting each clump of energy a unique nature and form. With a thought from Huo Yuhao, his vast mental force, like invisible hands, began to shape those violent energies. Azure, white, vermilion, black, void, south, north, 3, jade. As each word fell, a clump of energy underwent a qualitative change within the light, transforming into a ferocious and divine monster. Azure dragon, a blue dragon dozens of meters long coiled up, its mouth slightly open, with surging chakra flows faintly visible. White tiger, a white tiger as large as a mountain, with knotted muscles and claws flashing with cold light, emitting extreme destructive power. Vermilion bird, a red bird born from fire, its wings spreading to cover the sky, the surrounding air distorted by high temperatures. Black tortoise, a giant turtle made of countless heavy stone slabs, a symbol of absolute defense. Golden snake, a golden python with a long and flexible body, a sharp weapon for strangulation and binding. Nando and Beto immortals, 2 humanoid creatures wearing robes and fox masks, the staves in their hands flashing with the brilliance of sealing and support. Celestial maiden, a flying celestial maiden draped in purple ribbons, beautiful yet eerie, her body shifting between reality and illusion, capable of penetrating all physical obstacles. Finally, the Shinigami representing the harvest. It was a purple skeleton-like monster holding a giant scythe, soul fire burning in its hollow eye sockets. As the scythe swung, it seemed to slice through space. Huo Yuhao looked at these 9 colossal beings and nodded with satisfaction. This was another way to utilize the power of the tailed beasts. Although currently limited by my cultivation, each masked beast only has the strength of a peak spirit emperor. But with all 9 appearing together, even a spirit saint would find it impossible to escape. Moreover, the most flexible part of this system is Huo Yuhao's mind move. The 9 masked beasts instantly collapsed, turning into pure streams of energy that surged into his body. A light blue soul beast cloak instantly covered his entire body, and his aura surged. I can fuse them at any time and activate the cloak mode for melee combat. Huo Yuhao deactivated the soul beast cloak again, and the 9-faced beast reappeared. Just then, Electrolux, who had been floating to the side, moved. Interesting, the aura of this Shinigami is quite to my liking. Electrolux turned into a streak of light and dove straight into the body of the Shinigami masked beast. Buzz. The Shinigami transformed into a masked Electrolux. An aura where divinity and death coexisted emanated from it. Yuhao. Electrolux brandished the scythe in his hand, his voice echoing directly in Huo Yuhao's mind. The potential of this technique goes far beyond this. Right now, they are merely pure energy bodies, but in the future, you can seek contracts with 8 other powerful spirit beasts, allowing their souls to reside within these masks and become true spirit souls. At that time, they will possess true life and wisdom. A sharp light flashed in Huo Yuhao's eyes. Contracting spirit beasts, spirit souls, if that's the case, the process of collecting tailed beasts in the future will become much easier. For those powerful spirit beasts facing their limit, I don't have to use force at all, I can use the conditions of eternal life or symbiosis to perform top no jutsu. In Huo Yuhao's mind, the figure of his next target immediately appeared. The candidate for the 2 tails. I've already decided. Looking at the young man lost in thought, Electrolux fell silent for a moment, his tone becoming somewhat deep. Child. You and I when I was young, are truly alike. Gifted, meticulous, and burdened with hatred. I don't oppose your revenge, nor do I oppose your pursuit of power. But I hope you can hold on to the final bottom line in your heart. Do not lose yourself in the darkness, and do not fall into becoming a villain who does evil for the sake of evil. Huo Yuhao raised his head and looked directly into those gray eyes. He gave a soft response without any further explanation. A bottom line. ... Shrek Academy, Sea God Lake Shore. The night wind blew, bringing a hint of chill. Tanya stood quietly by the lake, feeling the earth-shaking changes within her body. Her meridians were broad and tough, and her spirit power surged like a river. Whenever she wished, that terrifying dark blue silver tree could burst from the ground at any time, devouring all vitality around it. This wasn't a dream. Tanya clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. I have been reborn. I am no longer that weakling who can only hide behind others and cry. I have obtained that qualification to step into the world of the strong. Just then, a series of hurried footsteps broke the silence of the night. Xiaoya. Bei ran over panting, his face full of anxiety and concern. I finally found you. I've been worried for so long. I thought something happened to you. Looking at the deeply affectionate youth before her, an imperceptible coldness flashed in the depths of Tanya's eyes. Worried. Worried that I, this Tangsek puppet, would slip from your control. Looking at Tanya, Bei did indeed breathe a sigh of relief. On one hand, it was because of the task assigned by his ancestor Elder Mu, to deeply bind the Tangsek and Shrek through emotional ties. On the other hand, Tanya's pure and lovely appearance and unique temperament indeed made his lower half control his upper half. Public and private matters were mixed together, even he couldn't distinguish how much was true affection and how much was calculation. Tanya turned around, her face instantly putting on a weak expression that was somewhat apologetic and carried a hint of relief. Bei, I'm sorry for making you worry. She lowered her head and bit her lip gently. I'm fine, just now, I was just being stubborn. I've thought it through, the academy has its own difficulties. After all, the Tang sect had already declined back then, and the academy couldn't just sacrifice everything for us. I shouldn't blame you. As she said these words, Tanya was sneering in her heart. Hey. Bei, and Shrek. You can't deceive me anymore. The ancestor has already told me the whole truth. Now, I am the one who knows everything. Since you like acting, I'll play along with you until the end. Let's see who plays whom to death in the end. Hearing this, a gratified smile appeared on Bei's face. He thought Tanya had truly been persuaded by him. Xiaoya, it's great that you can think that way. He took a step forward, wanting to put his arm around Tanya's shoulder. Tanya subtly turned her body to avoid him, pretending to tidy her hair that had been ruffled by the wind. It's really late, let's go back. Bei's hand froze in midair, then he withdrew it as if nothing had happened, thinking to himself. It seems things have stabilized for now. As long as she still relies on me and the academy, the Tang sect won't be able to escape Ancestor Elder Mu's bomb. The two walked side by side toward the dormitory area, each harboring their own schemes. In the days that followed, the Shrek outer court seemed to return to tranquility. Huo Yuhao continued to live a life like an ascetic monk. Aside from classes, he spent almost all of his time on Sea God Lake. One afternoon. Unable to hold back, Wang Dong dragged Xiao Xiao to Sea God Lake to find Huo Yuhao. However, when they arrived at the lakeside, the scene before them made the two favored daughters of heaven doubt their lives. On the vast surface of the lake, Huo Yuhao carried that heavy set of specialized weights on his back, yet his feet were stepped firmly on the water surface as if he were walking on flat ground. And opposite him, there actually stood 4 figures identical to him. Those were wood clones. Bang, bang, bang. 5 Huo Yuhaos were engaged in intense sparring on the water. Fists hitting flesh, leg shadows flying. Every collision kicked up water splashes several meters high, their movements so fast that even Wang Dong's eyes could barely keep up. Even more terrifying was that in this high-intensity confrontation, Huo Yuhao had to constantly maintain the chakra balance beneath his feet to keep himself from falling into the water. This. Xiao Xiao's mouth hung open, and the milk tea in her hand almost fell to the ground. Is this a clone spirit skill? Doesn't he only have 1 ring? And, with this intensity of training, is he risking his life? Wang Dong looked at the back drenched in sweat amidst the water splashes, her gaze complex to the extreme. She remembered the words Huo Yuhao had said, only power is the ultimate scenery. Is this monster really our peer? Chapter 25, Our Soul Tool Department is the real investment. Shrek Academy, Soul Tool Department Experimental Area. Huo Yuhao stood before a rented workstation, holding an ordinary standard carving knife in his hand. Within his eyes, a red light swirled. 2 tomo in the left eye, 3 tomo in the right. After a month of training, his left eye had finally evolved, sprouting a second tomo. So this is a so-called soul tool core formation. Huo Yuhao's wrist flickered, the carving knife turning into an afterimage. Not a single pause, not a hint of trembling. Shua, shua, shua. If it were an ordinary low-level soul engineer, carving a Class 1 core formation would require half an hour of meticulous effort, fearing that a hand tremor would ruin the materials. But in Huo Yuhao's hands, it was as simple as writing with a pen on paper. Copy, analyze, reproduce. As early as when he entered the door, he had activated spiritual detection, scanning the movements, spirit power output, and formation structures of several senior students like a scanner, burning them all into his mind. In just 3 short minutes. Whoom. As the final stroke fell, the metal disc in his hand emitted a layer of soft white light. Class 1 Soul Tool Core, completed. Huo Yuhao did not stop, he casually picked up a higher grade piece of metal. Next, let's try Class 2. Another 10 minutes passed. The light shone again, brighter and more stable than before. Class 2 Soul Tool Core, successful on the first try. Huo Yuhao casually tossed the still hot core onto the table, making a crisp, clang, sound. He shook his head, his eyes filled with disappointment and contempt. This is a spirit tool. Nothing more than this. However, this trip was necessary. In this world, spirit tools are indeed the mainstream. I can't really spend my whole life playing with shuriken and kunai. Am I supposed to throw a shuriken from 800 miles away to sneak attack God King Tang? That would be a joke. Student, what did you say? A deep and somewhat startled voice sounded behind him. Huo Yuhao did not turn around, as spiritual detection had already locked onto the newcomer. It was a tall middle-aged man in simple work clothes, his eyes wide, staring fixedly at the 2 core formations on the table. It was the vice dean of the Soul Tool Department, Fan Yu. Fan Yu was originally just passing by. When he heard the movement over here, he had intended to reprimand whichever student was being arrogant. But what did he see? A first-year freshman who wasn't even from the Soul Tool Department had carved a Class 2 core formation with such fluid grace, without any teacher's guidance. And that technique, it was too steady. So steady he didn't look like a novice, but more like a high-level soul engineer. Student. Fan Yu stepped forward quickly and picked up the Class 2 core to examine it closely. The lines were smooth, the nodes perfect, it was even better than what some Class 3 soul engineers could do. He suddenly looked up, staring at Huo Yuhao. I heard just now that you're a disciple from outside the Soul Tool Department who paid to rent the equipment. Have you studied spirit tool production before? Huo Yuhao turned around, his heterochromatic eyes looking directly at Fan Yu. No. I have never studied the spirit tool system. Today is the first time. The first time. Fan Yu gasped, he felt his worldview being shaken. To be able to make a Class 2 core on the first contact. How is this a genius? This is simply a prodigy. Even in the Sun Moon Empire, famous for its spirit tools, one probably couldn't find such a monster. At this moment, he also finally saw Huo Yuhao's eyes clearly. A crimson base with Iritomo. A flash of realization struck Fan Yu's mind. A mental attribute body martial soul. No wonder. No wonder he possessed such terrifying micro-manipulation abilities and learning speed. Wait, this characteristic, Fan Yu suddenly remembered. Student, you are the one the outer court has been buzzing about lately, that strongest one-ring spirit master, Huo Yuhao, right? Precisely, Huo Yuhao's expression was indifferent. Fan Yu's expression became quite colorful. Looking at Huo Yuhao, he thought of his suspended wife, Zhou Yi. I heard you had a very unpleasant encounter with my wife, Zhou Yi, and in the end, Dean Yan had to step in to resolve it. Fan Yu sighed. He didn't put on the airs of a vice dean to pressure him, but instead appeared quite magnanimous. I heard about that matter. Zhou Yi has an extreme personality. She was indeed in the wrong. This is on her, and I apologize to you on her behalf. Huo Yuhao raised an eyebrow. It doesn't matter. Huo Yuhao waved his hand, his arrogant temperament fully on display. The barking of a loser is something I never care about. Fan Yu was choked by the words and scratched his head awkwardly. This kid is even more arrogant than the rumors. However, looking at the core formation on the table, Fan Yu's appreciation for talent overrode everything else. He took a deep breath, as if making a major decision, and looked at Huo Yuhao solemnly. Yuhao, let's put those grudges aside for now. In my capacity as the vice dean of the Soul Tool Department, I officially invite you to join the Soul Tool Department. As long as you nod, I will immediately grant you the status of a Soul Tool Department core disciple. Fan Yu took a step forward, his voice rising with excitement. Those people in the Martial Soul Department are all just talk. Only our Soul Tool Department is the real investment. As long as you come, there will be plenty of rare metals. You can look at any blueprints. I will personally mentor you. A fanatical light flickered in Fan Yu's eyes. He believed that as long as Huo Yuhao joined, Shrek's Soul Tool Department would definitely surpass the Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy in the future. Huo Yuhao looked at the excited Fan Yu, his mind calculating rapidly. Join the Soul Tool Department. Indeed, spirit tools are important. Stationary soul tool cannons, defense shields, flying spirit tools, these are all sharp weapons of war. But, a person's energy is limited. Instead of spending a lot of time researching spirit tools, it would be better to use Goto Matsukumi or illusions to control a few top-tier 9th rank soul engineers to work for me. Just like Naruto chose to cooperate with Orochimaru. That is the most rational method. Thinking of this, the red light in Huo Yuhao's eyes gradually faded. Thank you for the kind offer, Vice Dean. Huo Yuhao declined calmly, however, this is a major matter. I'll make my decision after the freshman assessment is over. Fan Yu was stunned for a moment, clearly not expecting to be rejected after offering such generous terms. But he didn't get angry, instead, he appreciated Huo Yuhao's composure even more. Good. Fan Yu nodded, Yuhao, my promise to you is always valid. The doors of the Soul Tool Department are open to you at any time. I look forward to your correct choice. Time flew by. Another month passed. During this month, Huo Yuhao poured all his energy into his cultivate. With the help of the second Zon Shui pill, the bottleneck stuck at level 19 finally shattered. Level 20. Spirit power filled his entire body like water flowing into a channel. Now, he only needed to obtain a spirit ring to officially become a 2-ring Great Soul Master. Freshman assessment scene, soul fighting area. A sea of people, incredibly noisy. All the first-year freshmen were gathered here, waiting for the roll call according to their assigned areas. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao stood in the waiting area for District 33, as anxious as ants on a hot pan. Wang Dong, why hasn't Huo Yuhao arrived yet? Xiao Xiao kept looking at the distant entrance, the registration deadline is almost here. If we're late for the first match, we'll be disqualified immediately. Wang Dong was also anxious, fine beads of sweat breaking out on her forehead. Don't worry, don't worry. She comforted Xiao Xiao, but in her heart, she was cursing like crazy. Even though Yuhao is usually cold, he's a reliable person. I believe he won't be late. Damn Huo Yuhao. Who knows where he went for special training again last night. If you dare to stand us up, I'll bite you to death. At this time, the referee teacher in charge of the assessment for this area looked at his pocket watch, his brow furrowing. Huo Yuhao's team. The teacher shouted, "Are you all here? The assessment is about to begin." According to academy regulations, if any team member is late, the entire team's qualification will be cancelled. The surrounding students cast gloating looks one after another. If that rumored, strongest one ring, couldn't even make it into the exam hall, that would be a huge joke. Wang Dong braced herself and stepped forward, forcing a smile. "Teacher, one of our teammates will be here any second. Please wait another minute. No, half a minute." The referee teacher watched the second hand move with an expressionless face. "Time is up." The teacher closed his pocket watch and announced coldly. "Huo Yuhao's team, because your teammate Huo Yuhao failed to." Before the word, arrive, could fall. Boom. The originally clear sky suddenly erupted with a clap of thunder without any warning. Everyone was startled and instinctively looked up. They saw a blinding blue-purple lightning bolt, as if striking down from the 9 heavens, carrying a whistle that tore through the air, instantly smashing onto the soul dueling stage in District 33. ZZZZT. Electric arc splattered, and dust filled the air. After that dazzling lightning dissipated, the youth was crouching in the center of the stage. That was, lightning release combined with the body flicker technique. Huo Yuhao slowly stood up. He glanced at the dumbfounded referee teacher, then at the pleasantly surprised Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao. The corners of his mouth curled slightly, his tone flat. Just in time. I am not late. Chapter 26, New Student Assessment, Huo Yuhao sweeps the trio. Watching the figure slowly standing up, the lightning surrounding him gradually dissipating. The originally noisy soul-fighting area fell silent for a moment, followed by an even more heated outburst of discussion. That lightning, such incredible speed. He's the one rumored to be the strongest first ring, Huo Yuhao. That entrance was indeed flashy. The referee teacher in charge of the assessment coughed awkwardly twice, breaking the somewhat eerie atmosphere. Ahem, since student Huo Yuhao has entered the arena in time, the assessment officially begins. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao quickly walked onto the field, standing by Huo Yuhao's side. Huo Yuhao, you really didn't arrive late. Wang Dong had a look of surprise, seeing her teammate arrive at the critical moment, the heavy stone in her heart finally dropped. Xiao Xiao also breathed a sigh of relief, her spirit faintly appearing. Great, I'll support you next. My flute can slow them down. However, what Huo Yuhao said next made them wide-eyed once again. He didn't even look back at his teammates behind him, but simply stared coldly at the opponents ahead, his tone indifferent. No need. Trash of this level, I alone am enough. You, Xiao Xiao was fuming. On the other side, the 3 students who had stepped onto the stage were flushed with anger upon hearing those words. Arrogant. The leader, a student with a sword hummingbird spirit, laughed in anger. We're all new students. You don't really think you can take on all 3 of us alone, do you? Brothers, let him know the price of arrogance. Seeing the tension between the 2 sides, the referee teacher wasted no more words and waved his hand. Battle begin. As those words fell, the 3 opponents immediately underwent martial soul possession. Besides the sword hummingbird, the other 2 possessed the soft sword spirit and the chicken leg food system spirit. The food system spirit master quickly chanted an incantation and threw 2 buffing chicken legs. The 2 attack system spirit masters ate the chicken legs, their spirit power surging as they charged toward Huo Yuhao from the left and right. Facing the pincer attack, Huo Yuhao stood in place, motionless, as if he were paralyzed with fear. Not good. Xiao Xiao cried out in alarm and instinctively wanted to rush forward to help, but was stopped by a hand. Wang Dong looked at Huo Yuhao's arrogant back, bit her lip, and shook her head. Don't go. If he doesn't experience failure, this egomaniac will never learn the meaning of humility. It's better to let him suffer a bit. Just as the 2 were about to reach Huo Yuhao, their sharp sword and beak on the verge of piercing him. Huo Yuhao finally moved. But he didn't dodge, nor did he summon his spirit. His hands formed a cross, seal as fast as lightning. Shadow clone technique. Poof, poof. 2 clouds of white smoke exploded beside him. 2 physical clones identical to Huo Yuhao instantly rushed out, advancing instead of retreating, colliding with the 2 attack system spirit masters. Clones. Is that his first spirit ability? A hint of contempt flashed in the eyes of the sword hummingbird spirit master. You underestimate us. It's just a clone of a one-ring soul master, something that shatters in one hit. How strong can it be? Without dodging, he directly swung his wings to slash at the incoming clone. However, the moment he collided with that clone, the contempt on his face instantly turned into terror. The clone didn't shatter like a bubble, instead, an overwhelming, unstoppable force surged through, sending him flying backward. Even more terrifying. Huo Yuhao's original body stood in the back, his lips curling into a cruel arc. Explode. ZZZ. The bodies of the 2 clones that had closed in on the opponents suddenly expanded violently, turning into blinding lightning. Lightning release, clone great blast. Boom. 2 violent thunderous explosions rang out on the arena. The terrifying lightning energy instantly swallowed the 2 attack system spirit masters. They didn't even have time to scream before they were blown off the stage by the massive shockwave and high voltage current, crashing to the ground charred, foaming at the mouth, and unconscious. The dust cleared. Huo Yuhao still stood in his original spot, hands in his pockets, not having moved an inch. Dealing with you lot. He slowly raised his head, his crimson sharing and looking at the only remaining food system spirit master on the field. I don't even need to lift a finger myself. The support system spirit master, still holding a chicken leg, looked at his 2 teammates who were instantly defeated, then at the demon like Huo Yuhao. His legs went soft with fear, and the chicken leg fell to the ground with a splat. You know what to do, right? Huo Yuhao asked indifferently. I. The student raised his hands tremblingly and shouted to the referee with a sob. I surrender. The entire arena was silent. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao stood behind, completely dazed. They guessed Huo Yuhao was strong, but they never expected him to win so easily, so unreasonably. He ended the battle just by using 2 clones to self-destruct. It was also the referee teacher's first time seeing such a bizarre fighting style. Wiping the cold sweat from his forehead, he announced loudly. The match is decided, Huo Yuhao's team wins. The following day. Huo Yuhao's team had 4 more matches. The process was dull and tedious. The opponents were still those unremarkable 1-ring or 2-ring trash. Huo Yuhao didn't even bother to use his main body, easily crushing the field using only shadow clones combined with taijutsu. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao were essentially AFK the whole time, their only tasks being to shout, 666, and endure the envious and hateful gazes of their opponents after the matches. It wasn't until the third day of the competition that they finally met some interesting opponents. Both sides, state your names. New student class 1, Huo Yuhao, Wang Dong, Xiao Xiao. The three on the opposite side also announced their names. New student class 7, Huang Shudian, Spirit, Hercules Ape, level 23 attack system Spirit Grandmaster. Lan Susu, Spirit, Hair, level 22 control system Spirit Grandmaster. Lan Luoluo, Spirit, Hair, level 22 control system Spirit Grandmaster. A pair of twin sisters plus a burly attack system user. As soon as the match began, the twin sisters, Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo, gave everyone a surprise. They didn't fight individually but suddenly embraced each other. Buzz. A massive wave of spirit power, far exceeding anything before, instantly blossomed. A deep blue halo erupted from them simultaneously, completely obscuring their figures. At the same time, the long hair behind their heads moved without wind, growing wildly and instantly turning into a crystal clear blue, spreading out like ocean waves. Martial Soul Fusion Skill, Heavenly Net. The sky-filling hair wove into a giant net, not only sealing off the ground but even completely blocking any evasion space in the air. Wang Dong's expression changed, and she immediately stepped forward, saying to Huo Yuhao with a solemn look. Huo Yuhao, be careful. This opponent is different from before. That's a martial soul fusion skill. Its power is comparable to a spirit elder or even a spirit ancestor. Don't try to be a hero, let's go together. Huo Yuhao looked at the overwhelming blue hair net sweeping toward them, a glint of interest flashing in his eyes. Hey, a martial soul fusion skill. He gave a light laugh and, instead of retreating, took a step forward. In that case, I'll get a little serious too. After speaking, under everyone's shocked gazes, his hands rapidly formed seals. Ox, dog, dragon, rat, boar, bird. Water release, water collision wave. Rumble. A massive water tornado appeared out of thin air, circling his body. The next second, the water tornado exploded, turning into a towering wave that instantly submerged the entire arena. Under the impact of the giant wave, the sky-filling blue hair net instantly became incredibly heavy, its offensive stalled. As for Huang Shudian, the attack system spirit master who took the brunt of the wave, he didn't even have a chance to resist. He was instantly flushed away, spinning like a ball until he was washed out of the arena. How is this possible? The Land sisters screamed in terror amidst the giant wave. They could only desperately control their hair net to root into the ground, anchoring their bodies so they wouldn't be washed away. How could he create such a large-scale water attribute attacking a place without water? Is his spirit power infinite? The waves gradually receded, leaving only the twin sisters still struggling to hold on the stage. Huo Yuhao stood atop a puddle of water, looking down at the two disheveled girls from above. Oh, still putting up a struggle. Huo Yuhao's hands formed seals once again. Wind release, great breakthrough. Whoosh. Huo Yuhao thrust his hands forward. A visible, violent hurricane erupted from his mouth. The powerful airflow was like a scythe, instantly severing the Land sisters' wet hair that was rooted in the ground. Ah. Losing their anchor points, the Land sisters cried out as they were swept up by the gale, flying off the stage like two fallen leaves without any suspense. Thud. The two fell outside the arena, their martial soul fusion skill forced to dissipate as they lost consciousness. On the arena, Huo Yuhao lowered his hands and looked at the empty field, curling his lip. Martial soul fusion skill. It's nothing more than this. Behind him, Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao had completely turned to stone. The referee teacher swallowed hard, looking at the youth standing amidst the wreckage, and announced with a trembling voice. The match is decided. Huo Yuhao's team wins. Chapter 27, 5 Elements Seal, Sealing Ma Xiao Tao, Yan Xiao is the one truly committed. Looking at the youth standing proudly on the arena, Yan Xiao's beard trembled slightly in the spectator stands from excitement. I've picked up a treasure. This time, I've really picked up a treasure. Such a large-scale water attribute spirit ability, that kind of water element fluctuation, light flashed brilliantly in Yan Xiao's eyes. This shows that his control over the water element has evolved to a level where he can interfere with, or even suppress, the evil fire in Xiao Tao's body. As soon as the match ended, before Huo Yuhao and his teammates could even walk out of the arena, Yan Xiao's figure blocked their path. This Dean, who usually remains elusive like a divine dragon showing its head but not its tail, now had a kind and amiable smile on his face. Yuhao, you performed quite well. If you're not busy later, come to my office for a bit. Huo Yuhao stopped in his tracks, looking at the smiling tiger before him, his heart was already as clear as a mirror. As expected, he's here. After seeing the power of my water release, he wants me to be a fire extinguisher. Huo Yuhao nodded respectfully on the surface, but he was sneering in his heart. Perfect, it's about time to renew my cultivation resources. Since you've delivered yourself to my door, don't blame me for squeezing a few more medicinal pills out of you, old man. Yan Xiao's personal invitation carried a completely different meaning to the other students around them. Heavens, that's Dean Yan. Being called away by the dean right after a match, this is the rhythm of being taken in as a personal disciple. Even Xiao Xiao and Wang Dong, who were standing nearby, showed a hint of envy in their eyes. Wang Dong watched Huo Yuhao's departing back. The youth's figure was tall and straight, his indigo short hair swaying slightly in the wind, exuding a wild arrogance that yielded to no one. For some reason, her mind kept replaying his invincible posture from earlier on the arena, forming hand seals and raising stormy waves. Two red clouds quietly surfaced on her cheeks. Huo Yuhao, is this the path you've always been pursuing? Only power is the ultimate view. If it's you, perhaps you really can do it. Martial Soul Department, Dean's office. Besides Yan Xiao sitting behind the desk, a woman in red was also standing in the room. She was tall, and her fiery red dress hugged her hot figure. It was Ma Xiao Tao. Seeing Huo Yuhao enter, Yan Xiao didn't waste any time and got straight to the point. Yuhao, we're acquaintances, so I won't beat around the bush. This is my disciple, Ma Xiao Tao. She has always been troubled by the evil fire brought about by her spirit mutation. I watched your match today, and your control over the water element left a deep impression on me. I want to know, has your water attribute reached a level where it can suppress the evil fire in her body? Yan Xiao stared intently into Huo Yuhao's eyes, his tone solemn. If you can help Xiao Tao suppress the evil fire, no matter what resources you need, the academy will definitely not treat you poorly. Ma Xiaotao was also sizing up Huo Yuhao from the side. The height of the youth before her had already reached 175 centimeters. His originally neat short hair was now gradually growing longer, and those blue eyes emitted a wild and unrestrained aura. This hairstyle is quite unique. And he's not bad looking either, he fits my aesthetic. Ma Xiaotao evaluated him secretly. Immediately, she began to carefully sense the aura on Huo Yuhao's body, trying to compare him to the mysterious person who had stopped her rampage on Sea God Lake. No. That mysterious person used the power of ultimate ice. While this junior, although he has the water element in his body, it's also mixed with fire, earth, wind, lightning, and other attributes. The 5 types of power separate and merge, forming a seamless whole. It seems the person from that day wasn't him. Besides, he only has his first ring, how could he have knocked me away while I was in a rampaging state? Huo Yuhao did not agree immediately. He put on a troubled expression and frowned. Din Yan, this kind of treatment requires a lot of energy and origin spirit power. Will this affect my own cultivation? Hearing that there was hope, Yan Xiao quickly waved his hand. You don't need to worry about that at all. As long as you can solve Xiao Tao's problem, the academy will compensate you tenfold for all your consumption. As he spoke, he flipped his wrist and took out several exquisite jade bottles from a storage spirit tool, lining them up on the table. Zhan Shui pills, spirit ascension pills, foundation strengthening powders, these are all yours. Huo Yuhao glanced at the medicinal pills and nodded inwardly. This old man is quite generous. In that case, I'll give it a try. Huo Yuhao walked up to Ma Xiaotao, reached out his right hand, and pressed it against her burning arm. Buzz. Spiritual detection activated, as chakra and spirit power probed inward. A violent, sinister fire attribute energy filled with a desire for destruction instantly surged back along his arm. What powerful evil fire. If I were to use pure water release, with my current chakra and spirit power, I'd probably be exhausted to death. And that would only treat the symptoms, not the cause. Huo Yuhao withdrew his hand, shook his head, and put on a perfectly timed look of solemnity. It won't work. The evil fire in Senior's body is too strong. With the strength of my water element at this stage, it will be very difficult to forcibly suppress it. The light in Yan Xiao and Ma Xiaotao's eyes dimmed instantly. It won't work. Ma Xiaotao gave a bitter smile, feeling somewhat hopeless. Yan Xiao sighed. Forget it. Yuhao, in that case, once your cultivation level increases and your water element evolves, this promise will still be valid. However, just as the two were about to give up, Huo Yuhao's tone shifted. While forcible suppression won't work, I can use an element fusion self-created spirit ability, recorded in my family's ancient books to attempt to seal the evil fire. Seal. Light reappeared in Yan Xiao's eyes. You mean, not to eliminate it, but to lock it away. Correct. Huo Yuhao explained, the 5 elements generate and overcome each other. By utilizing the cycle of the 5 elements, I can construct a self-sustaining sealing formation to lock the evil fire in the Dantian, preventing it from causing chaos. I'm willing to try, Ma Xiaotao said immediately, as if grabbing onto a life-saving straw. Good. Huo Yuhao didn't dawdle. Senior, please excuse my rudeness. He had Ma Xiaotao sit cross-legged, while he stood before her. Taking a deep breath, Huo Yuhao's hands began to rapidly form seals. His consciousness sank into the Kamui dimension, communicating with the ghetto statue. South, north. Through the connection of the 9-phase sub-UT, 2 streams of special energy specifically for sealing surged into his body through the contract. Huo Yuhao extended his right hand, fingers spread wide. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. 5 colors of chakra danced on his 5 fingertips respectively, like 5 flickering will-o'-the-wisps. Ninjutsu, 5-element seal. Huo Yuhao's gaze sharpened, and his claw-like right hand, carrying 5-colored light, pressed heavily onto Ma Xiaotao's flat lower abdomen. Ah! Ma Xiaotao let out a muffled groan, her body trembling violently. She felt the domineering power forcibly rush into her dantian. Under the suppression of this 5 elements power, the originally rampant evil fire felt as if it had met its natural enemy. Hey, mere evil fire. Huo Yuhao sneered in his heart as he looked at Ma Xiaotao's pained expression. Back then, Senju Hashirama could suppress the 9-tailed like patting a dog's head. Although I haven't reached that realm yet, using the 5 elements seal to suppress your evil fire is more than enough. The 5 elements formed a complex black formula in his palm, deeply branded onto Ma Xiaotao's skin before fading from sight. Sealing technique, complete. That scorching aura instantly dissipated. Ma Xiaotao snapped her eyes open and touched her lower abdomen in surprise. It's gone, that urge to destroy everything is really gone. And it doesn't affect the circulation of my spirit power at all. She stood up excitedly, her gaze toward Huo Yuhao filled with gratitude and a certain unusual light. Master, Junior Huo succeeded. Thank you, Junior Huo. Ma Xiaotao was overly excited and instinctively reached out her hand, wanting to ruffle Huo Yuhao's head like she would a cute younger brother. Swoosh. Huo Yuhao tilted his head and shifted his footsteps, instantly dodging that hand. Ma Xiaotao's hand froze in midair, a bit awkward. Huo Yuhao took 2 steps back, his eyes cold, as he cursed in his heart. Ma Xiaotao, even if you were really dead, don't even think about touching my head. In this world, no one has the right to touch my head. Yan Xiao walked over quickly, carefully checked Ma Xiaotao's physical condition, and his face blossomed into a smile. Good, good, good. Yuhao, you've really given me a huge surprise. With a wave of his hand, he pushed all the medicinal pills on the table toward Huo Yuhao. These are all yours. Huo Yuhao unceremoniously put the pills into his storage ring, but he didn't seem to have any intention of leaving, standing in place with a slight frown. Din Yan, there are some things I must say up front. Senior Ma's evil fire is too violent and deep-rooted. With my current cultivation, the 5-element seal I've cast is not stable. The seal must be reinforced for her once a month, otherwise, as her cultivation increases, the seal could be broken at any time. Furthermore, Huo Yuhao paused, revealing his true intentions. To maintain the strength of the seal, I need to continuously strengthen my spirit power in all major attributes. This requires a large amount of resource consumption. Only in this way is there a possibility of solving the problem once and for all. Yan Xiao's brow furrowed slightly. This kid's meaning was very clear, he needed more pay. And it was a long-term, continuous increase in pay. Just as he was calculating the cost-effectiveness in his mind and thinking about how to bargain. Huo Yuhao suddenly sighed and dropped a bombshell. Actually, Vice Dean Fan Yu approached me privately a few days ago. Oh, Yan Xiao became alert. What did he want with you? Huo Yuhao looked at Yan Xiao and repeated in a sincere tone. Vice Dean Fan Yu said that you people from the Martial Soul Department are all talk and can't give any substantial resources. He said that only their soul tool department is truly committed. What? Yan Xiao almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. He slammed the table, his beard crooked with rage. Good for you, Fan Yu. You actually dare to poach from me. Comparing commitment with me. Comparing resources with me. You've gone too far. Yuhao, don't listen to Fan Yu's nonsense. Yan Xiao stood up abruptly, grabbed his collar with both hands, and pulled it up hard, zipping it higher. This action was exactly like Fan Yu zipping up his collar to prove his true commitment. That group from the Soul Tool department who play with potato spirit tools all day are completely full of it. Our martial soul department is the one truly committed. Yan Xiao extended one palm, fingers spread wide. How about this, as long as you agree to stay in the martial soul department and reinforce the seal for Xiaotao on time every month. In addition to the normal resource allocation, I will give you 5 extra top-tier medicinal pills every month that can strengthen your various attributes. 5 pills, can that bunch of penniless soul engineers even afford that? Huo Yuhao watched the agitated Yan Xiao, his heart blooming with joy. On the surface, however, he remained calm, nodded, and put on a convinced expression. 5 pills, it seems Dean Yan is the one truly committed. In that case, I will accept them with gratitude. Chapter 28, the main body cultivates, the clone goes on a rampage. Huo Yuhao sat cross-legged, with several exquisite jade bottles sent by Yan Xiao placed in front of him. Besides several foundation consolidating pills, there were also the promised 5 top-tier 5 elements cultivation pills per month. Huo Yuhao picked up a pill shimmering with a 5-colored halo and secretly complained in his heart. The 5 elements pills are being distributed monthly. This old fellow, is he treating this like signing in for rewards? Is he afraid I'll run away with the resources? However, he didn't dwell on it too much. This kind of pill had a domineering medicinal effect, and each one required several days to fully refine and absorb. If given too many at once, he wouldn't be able to digest them all. Since the resources were in place, he shouldn't waste time. Huo Yuhao glanced out the window at the bustling crowd heading towards the soul fighting area, his gaze indifferent. In the upcoming matches, most of the opponents were just an interesting small fry. Instead of wasting time on such child's play, it was better to seize every second to become stronger. He stood up and formed hand seals. Wood release, wood clone technique. Squelch, asterisk. His shoulder began to writhe, and then, a mass of wood fiber separated, quickly condensing into an identical Huo Yuhao beside him. This was the wood clone. Unlike the shadow clone, the wood clone was composed of cells, had stronger resistance to attacks, and could exist for a long time. The clone Huo Yuhao turned and pushed the door open, heading to the competition grounds. Meanwhile, Huo Yuhao's main body became the one walking against the flow, turning to go to the cultivation grounds. Over the next 2 days, a strange phenomenon appeared on Shrek's freshman assessment arena. That Huo Yuhao, known as the strongest first ring, was still going on a rampage. Often, with just a sharp whip kick or a seemingly simple low-level ninjutsu, the opponents would be instantly cleared from the field. But those familiar with him always felt something was off. He seemed to have become colder, spoke less, and the look of seeing others as trash in his eyes was even more pronounced. Until the 3rd day. They faced a group of truly powerful enemies. Both sides, announce your names. 3 girls stood in a row opposite him, their aura overbearing. Freshman Class 9, Wu Feng, Spirit, Red Dragon, Level 25 Attack System Spirit Grandmaster. The speaker was a fiery girl with short red hair. Her gaze towards Huo Yuhao was full of provocation. Freshman Class 9, Nanman Yunner, Spirit, Jade Green Bird, Level 24 Agility Attack System Spirit Grandmaster. Freshman Class 9, Ning Tian, Spirit, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda, Level 31 Support System Spirit Elder. Hearing the words, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda, a burst of exclamations erupted from the surrounding audience. That was the continent's #1 support spirit, and she was even a Level 31 Spirit Elder. This kind of lineup was simply a dimensional strike among the freshmen. However, the clone Huo Yuhao only gave them a faint glance, his hands in his pockets, his tone carrying a bit of nonchalance. 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. I hope that with the support of the so-called continent's #1 support, you can withstand a single move of mine. Arrogant. Wu Feng already had a short fuse. Hearing this extremely insulting sentence, she was instantly like a lit powder keg. Huo Yuhao, don't look down on people. You will pay the price for your carelessness. Boom. Wu Feng instantly performed martial soul possession. Her left hand was instantly covered in crimson dragon scales, turning into a burning dragon claw. It actually bore some resemblance to the previous Zhou Yi. At the same time, Ning Tian, standing behind, held up her palm, and a crystal clear 7-layered pagoda floated up, with treasure light flowing. 7 treasures turn, glazed tile emerges. First, strength. Third, spirit. 2 brilliant colored lights instantly shot into Wu Feng's body. Wu Feng's aura surged instantly. Under the terrifying boost of the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda, her strength and spirit power almost doubled. At this moment, she was even stronger than an ordinary 3-ring spirit elder. Prepare yourself. Wu Feng roared, and the first spirit ring behind her lit up. First spirit ability, Dragon's Fire. She opened her mouth and spat out a mass of crimson dragon flames carrying high heat, blasting straight towards Huo Yuhao's face like a cannonball. Faced with this menacing strike, Huo Yuhao not only didn't dodge but instead stood in place and sneered. Fire element attack. Interesting, showing off your slight skills before a master. He instantly formed hand seals. Snake, ram, monkey, boar, horse, tiger. His chest puffed out. Fire release, great fireball technique. Boom. A huge orange-red fireball erupted from his mouth, meeting Wu Feng's dragon's fire head-on. Although this wood clone only had 50% of the main body's strength, how could the Uchiha clan's signature fire release ninjutsu, the great fireball technique, be compared to this kind of first spirit ability? The 2 masses of flames collided violently in the air. Sizzle sizzle sizzle, asterisk. The great fireball instantly suppressed the dragon's fire, pushing Wu Feng's flames back. What? Wu Feng turned pale with fright. She didn't expect that even with the boost from the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda, her flames actually couldn't compete with the opponents. I don't believe it. Second spirit ability, Dragon's Fury. Wu Feng's eyes instantly turned blood red, and dragon scales stood up all over her body as she entered a berserk state. Her attack power and fire attribute resistance were once again significantly boosted. Relying on the boost, she actually managed to withstand the great fireball's advance, even showing a trend of being equally matched. Huo Yuhao, today, let me end your title of the strongest first ring. Wu Feng laughed wildly amidst the flames. Just then, Nanmanyunner, the agility attack system spirit master who had been waiting for an opportunity, moved. Now's the chance. Her figure was like lightning, turning into a jade green afterimage. Using the flames as cover, she rapidly circled to Huo Yuhao's left blind spot. First spirit ability, Green Bird Slash. Her arms turned into sharp wings, like two jade green scimitars, fiercely slashing towards Huo Yuhao's neck. Got him. Watch out. Wang Dong's expression changed in the back, her radiant goddess butterfly wings unfolding as she was about to rush up to help. Don't move. Huo Yuhao coldly stopped his teammate. Faced with the pincer attack from front and back, he didn't even turn his head. He just slowly extended his right hand, formed a seal with one hand, and slammed it onto the ground. Summoning technique. Bang, bang, asterisk. There was no smoke, instead, two circles of black technique formulas exploded on the ground. Under Nanmanyunner's terrified gaze, two figures emerged from the ground like ghosts. Those were two Huo Yuhaos. Wang Dong was stunned. Summoning technique. Why do I remember this guy calling it shadow clone technique when he summoned clones before? Without giving everyone time to think. The wood clone on the left that had just been summoned had already finished forming seals the moment it appeared. His half-body was still hidden underground. Trying to ambush me, naive. Earth release, double suicide decapitation technique. That clone suddenly reached out both hands and firmly grabbed the ankles of the sprinting Nanmanyunner. Wah. Nanmanyunner felt her feet sink, and her whole body instantly lost balance. Swish, asterisk. She even came too late to scream before being instantly pulled into the hard stone arena by that huge force, with only her head left exposed outside. She couldn't move at all. Chapter 29, What is the strongest? The difference is clear. After dealing with the sneak attacker, the remaining newly summoned clone and the clone already in the match did not stop. The two stood side by side, forming hand seals simultaneously. Wind release, great breakthrough. Whoosh. A violent gale erupted from the new clone's mouth, accurately merging into the massive great fireball that was currently in a stalemate. The wind fanned the flames. The already massive fireball's volume instantly tripled under the enhancement of the wind release. Its color also changed from orange red to a heart-palpitating golden red. The madness in Wu Feng's eyes instantly turned into despair. In the face of this world-destroying power, her dragon's fury seemed so insignificant. Rumble. The sea of fire instantly submerged Wu Feng, and even Ning Tian, who was maintaining the amplification in the rear, was not spared. Ah! Two screams rang out. Wu Feng and Ning Tian were like two kites with broken strings, violently blasted off the stage by the flame storm, their bodies charred black and emitting green smoke. Nanmanyunner, who was buried in the ground with only her head showing, watched this scene blankly, too terrified to even speak. The flames dissipated. Three Huo Yuhao stood on the stage, their expressions equally indifferent. The clone in the middle slowly withdrew his hand, looking at the mess of opponents below the stage, and said faintly. What is the strongest? The difference is clear. The referee teacher swallowed hard, and looking at this bizarre scene, announced with a trembling voice. The winner is decided. Huo Yuhao's team wins. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao walked forward, looking at these three Huo Yuhaos, their minds full of question marks. Hey, Huo Yuhao, this. Before Wang Dong could finish asking. Poof, poof, poof. Slight sounds were heard. The three Huo Yuhaos did not turn into smoke and disappear like shadow clones. Instead, their bodies quickly withered and deformed, eventually turning into several lifeless pieces of dead wood that fell onto the stage. The entire field was dead silent. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao looked at each other, both seeing deep disbelief and a hint of terror in each other's eyes. Am I seeing things? That's wood. Wang Dong's voice was dry. So, Xiao Xiao pointed at the dead wood on the ground and said stutteringly, the one who has been going on a killing spree in the arena these past few days, has always been Huo Yuhao's clone. Then what about his main body? Could it be, he's still cultivating? Below the stage. Wu Feng, who had just been woken up by the healing spirit master and was still spitting out blood, happened to hear these two sentences. What? You mean, the Huo Yuhao who just beat me like a dog, was just a clone? PFF. Overcome by sudden rage. This red dragon spirit master spat out another mouthful of blood, rolled her eyes, and completely fainted from anger. The awakened Wu Feng stumbled to find Yan Xiao, who was about to leave. Dean. Wu Feng's voice was hoarse, her eyes full of resentment and indignation. I want to report him. That Huo Yuhao is breaking the rules. These past few days, he hasn't even participated in the competition personally. He's been using the damn wooden clone to humiliate us. Shouldn't the freshman assessment be attended by the person themselves? This is cheating. It's a disregard for the academy's rules. Hearing this, Yan Xiao's footsteps came to a sudden halt. He turned around and looked at the two disheveled freshmen in front of him, a hint of astonishment appearing on his face. What did you say? You're saying, just now on the stage, the one who knocked you, an attack system spirit grandmaster, along with the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda support, off the stage, was just one of Huo Yuhao's clones. Wu Feng gritted her teeth, although she didn't want to admit it, it was the truth, yes. In the end, that clone turned into wood. Yan Xiao was stunned. A clone. Just a clone could use multiple attributes of self-created spirit abilities, and even in a 1-on-3 situation, insta-kill a powerful combination with 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda's amplification. Then what about his main body? Yan Xiao's breathing became rapid, and a surge of uncontrollable wild joy appeared deep in his eyes. If a clone is already like this, how strong must the main body be? Such terrifying talent, such amazing elemental control, there's really a hope of completely solving Xiao Tao's evil fire problem this time. Thinking of this, the sliver of original sympathy in Yan Xiao's gaze toward Wu Feng instantly vanished, replaced by a kind of indifference. I understand. Yan Xiao put his hands behind his back, his expression quickly returning to serious and just. Regarding the issue of whether Huo Yuhao violated the rules, the academy will conduct an in-depth investigation. You two go back and recover from your injuries first. Dean, Wu Feng still wanted to say something. Enough, I am the dean. Yan Xiao frowned, and an invisible pressure was released. I will uphold the academy's rules. I don't need you to teach me how to do things. After saying that, he turned and left, his face light as if he had picked up some rare treasure. As for how to solve it, naturally, it would be left unsettled. In this world where the strong are respected, geniuses have privileges. And for a monster like Huo Yuhao who could save his disciple's life, the privileges were infinite. At the training ground, Huo Yuhao sat cross-legged, surrounded by faint fluctuations of chakra and spirit power. As the last bit of medicinal power was refined, the spirit power in his body was like an overflowing lake, surging endlessly through his meridians. Rank 20. Although he hadn't obtained a second spirit ring and couldn't break through the rank limit, the medicinal power of the foundation consolidation pill had already accumulated in his body. Once he hunts a spirit beast, this accumulated spirit power will erupt without reservation, helping me rush directly to a higher realm. At this time, 2 shadow clones were wearing that set of heavy weights, performing boring and high-intensity taijutsu sparring. While several other shadow clones were scattered around. Some were practicing water release, while some were comprehending earth release. Suddenly, pop! Huo Yuhao's brow twitched slightly. He sensed that the wood clone sent to participate in the competition had automatically dispelled because its chakra was exhausted. A stream of memories belonging to the clone flooded into his mind. Wu Feng's provocation, the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda's amplification, and the final wind-fire combination ninjutsu insta-kill. Huo Yuhao slowly opened his eyes, his lips curling into a look of extremely disdainful cold laughter. TCH. As expected, a bunch of small fry. It was correct not to waste time on such a child's play game. He couldn't muster the slightest interest in these freshmen. If there was anyone in this freshman assessment who could pique my interest slightly. Huo Yuhao's gaze turned toward a certain point in the void realm, his eyes suddenly turning ice cold. Dai Waban. The direct culprit who caused the death of his mother, Huo Yuner. The beast who, in the Duke's mansion, relied on his status as a legitimate son to bully him and his mother in every way, even wanting to leave them no way to survive. Dai Waban's name had long been carved at the very top of Huo Yuhao's must-kill list. I remember the unlocking condition for the system's tiger skin mask template is to guide 2 key figures toward different fates. Tang Yao was the first. Then, this second one, a cruel plan emerged in Huo Yuhao's mind. Simple slaughter is too easy for him. Hee, Dai Waban, just you wait. I will crush you like crushing an insect. Then, I'll make you regret coming into this world in endless despair. Huo Yuhao took a deep breath, suppressed the killing intent in his heart, and refocused his attention on the cultivation in his hands. He slowly raised his right hand. At this moment, in the center of his palm, a pitch-black kanji character faintly appeared. It was the character for seat. Huo Yuhao looked at this character in his palm, feeling the suppression law contained within, specifically targeting tailed beasts and giant creatures. This was the technique Senju Hashirama used to make the 9-tailed instantly obedient, like patting a dog's head, Hokage-style 60-year-old technique. Kakuin enters the market with bliss-bringing hands. Hell White Tiger, is it? The pride of the Dai family, is it? Huo Yuhao clenched his right hand, and the character for vanished into his palm. Encountering this would release secret technique that can even rub the 9-tailed into the ground. Dai Waban, I look forward to your performance. Chapter 30. Who else lacks anti-air capabilities? Over the next few days, Yan Shao sought out Huo Yuhao privately once. However, the dean did not blame him for using a clone to compete. Instead, he kindly handed him 10 jade bottles with a benevolent expression. Yuhao, I know these opponents aren't worth your time. Yan Shao spoke earnestly, but this is a team assessment. You have to give your teammates a chance to perform. You can't let them be mere foils forever. This is the 5 elements cultivation pills for the next 2 months, issued to you in advance. Huo Yuhao took the heavy medicinal pills and watched Yan Shao just retreating back, sneering inwardly. Ha, old fox. Isn't this just giving the rewards early? Does he think he can move me with such small favors? Just wait, when the opportunity arises, I will definitely take another shot at this old geezer. It was time for another knockout match. Soul Fighting Area, District 33. Both sides, announce your names. The 3 people opposite them were burly and had aggressive auras. Freshman Class 5, Xie Wanyu, Spirit, Skinny Elephant, Level 32 Defense System Spirit Elder. Freshman Class 5, Luo Tianba, Spirit, Mantis Blade, Level 24 Attack System Spirit Grandmaster. Freshman Class 5, Luo Tianlong, Spirit, Mantis Blade, Level 24 Attack System Spirit Grandmaster. The 3 of them looked solemn, staring intently at Huo Yuhao. A man's reputation follows him like a shadow. The news of Huo Yuhao using a clone to crush Ning Tian's team had already spread over the past few days. Facing this legendary, strongest first ring, even Xie Wanyu, who possessed a top-tier defensive spirit, did not dare to be careless. Be careful, that guy's fire and water attribute spirit abilities are very strong, Xie Wanyu reminded his teammates in a low voice, assuming a defensive posture. The referee teacher glanced at both sides and waved his hand. Let the battle begin. The 3 opponents immediately erupted with spirit power, preparing for Huo Yuhao's overwhelming ninjutsu bombardment. However, a scene occurred that surprised them and the entire audience. Zheng. A crisp ring of a blade. Huo Yuhao did not form hand seals, instead, he took out a newly forged, slender tachi from his storage ring. He held the blade with a reverse grip and did not charge, instead. Pucci. The tachi was slammed into the hard stone floor of the arena. Huo Yuhao crossed his arms and leaned lazily against the hilt of the blade, not even bothering to lift his eyelids. Xie Wanyu was stunned. Huo Yuhao, aren't you going to attack? Huo Yuhao yawned and said faintly. You are not qualified to challenge me. What? The 3 opponents instantly bristled with anger. Xie Wanyu's nose was practically crooked with rage. Are you kidding me? Who do you think you're looking down on? They were also geniuses who had fought their way through many rounds, which of them wasn't proud? To be told to their faces by a one-ring soul master that they weren't qualified was more painful than being killed. Stop the nonsense. If you've got guts, come and fight. Luo Tianba roared. Huo Yuhao remained leaning on his blade, extending a finger and pointing casually at the 2 girls behind him. Defeat them, and then you will be qualified to become the rest on my blade. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire audience erupted in an uproar. And Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao, standing behind Huo Yuhao, didn't react with anger, but rather, excitement. Finally, they could take action. During this period, because Huo Yuhao was too dominant, the 2 of them had spent almost the entire time just watching. The outer court students had even given them a highly insulting nickname, the carried dogs. How could the proud Wang Dong endure being a mere accessory when she was a twin spirit's genius? HMPH. Wang Dong took a step forward, looking at the 3 opponents with battle intent burning in her eyes. Although your tone makes me very unhappy, since you're begging me to step in, this young master will reluctantly help you solve these troubles. Xiao Xiao also tightened her grip on the 9 Phoenix arrival flute, secretly vowing in her heart. I will make Yuhao see my value. I am not a salted fish. Maybe, he will look at me in a new light. Go. Wang Dong shouted low, and her spirit instantly possessed her. The gorgeous wings of the radiant goddess butterfly unfurled, and she became like a butterfly, instantly flying into the air. Air superiority, secured. First spirit ability, wing guillotine. Second spirit ability, light of the butterfly goddess. Wang Dong looked down from above, as golden light blades and spheres poured down like rain on the three people below. At the same time, Xiao Xiao blew into her flute. Rings of sound wave retardation halos accurately landed at the feet of the three opponents, causing their speed to instantly drop a beat. Damn it, I don't have anti-air capabilities. Although Xie Wanyu's defense was amazing, his skinny elephant spirit was incredibly clumsy, leaving him to only take hits on the ground. And while those two Mantis Blade Spirit Masters had strong attack power, they could only stare helplessly at Wang Dong flying in the sky. This was a classic kiting strategy. Wang Dong was like a balloon zombie. Under her aerial suppression and Xiao Xiao's control, the battle became a one-sided torment. 10 minutes later. As Xie Wanyu collapsed after exhausting his spirit power, the battle ended. Huo Yuhao's team wins, the referee teacher announced. Only then did Huo Yuhao's clone, who had been leaning on the tachi with eyes closed, slowly open his eyes. He hadn't even moved a single step throughout the entire process. How was that, Huo Yuhao? Wang Dong retracted her wings and landed, approaching with a proud face. Are you shocked by this young master's strength? Don't always act like you're looking down on people from now on. Xiao Xiao also looked at him expectantly, her small face flushed red. Yuhao, you're not the only one with twin spirits, I have them too. My coordination was pretty good, right? The two of them were like children who had scored full marks and were waiting for a parent's praise. However, Huo Yuhao only gave them a faint glance, reached out to pull the tachi from the ground, and casually stored it in his storage ring. Too slow. He coldly dropped a single sentence. To deal with such trash, you actually took 10 minutes. If it were me, I would only have needed a quarter of your time. After saying that, he didn't even look at the two of them and simply turned to leave. Quote. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao froze in place, the smiles on their faces instantly hardening. The joy of victory was completely chilled by this bucket of cold water. This bastard, Wang Dong stomped her foot in anger. But in her heart, she had to admit that Huo Yuhao was telling the truth. With his terrifying explosive power, he probably really would only have needed 2.5 minutes. This guy, he was still as cold as ever. However, the book said that once two people with martial soul fusion skill compatibility started cultivating together, they would develop a mental connection and their relationship would grow closer. Wang Dong watched Huo Yuhao's back and grit her teeth. I must seize this opportunity. To prove that you and I are a match made in heaven. There must be an extraordinary bond between us. God realm, see God temple. Tang San sat cross-legged in the center of the hall, calculating with his fingers. That divine thought inside Xiao Qi's body should soon take effect and produce a martial soul fusion with the child of fortune. The boy with blue pupils. Those blue eyes will eventually take everything from you. Chapter 31, White Tiger Spirit, you inherently evil brat, I'll send you to your mother myself. Night, dormitory. Huo Yuhao sat cross-legged on his bed, deep in meditation. Hey, Huo Yuhao. Wang Dong lay on her bed, propping her chin with her hands as she watched the cultivation maniac opposite her. Do you know anything about our finals opponent? Without opening his eyes, Huo Yuhao replied indifferently. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be Dai Waban. An opponent of that level isn't worth being cautious about. Hey, don't be so careless. Wang Dong sat up straight, her expression turning serious. He's a spirit elder level expert with a white tiger spirit, and he also has a martial soul fusion skill with that Douluo. That's the hell white tiger. It's a top-tier martial soul fusion skill legendary for being able to challenge opponents a whole rank above. Even ordinary spirit ancestor level experts can't withstand it. Huo Yuhao's brow furrowed slightly as he opened his eyes with some impatience. What exactly are you trying to say? If there's nothing else, don't disturb my cultivation. Seeing Huo Yuhao finally willing to acknowledge her, a flash of joy appeared in Wang Dong's eyes. She took a deep breath, as if mustering all her courage. Actually, after our fight that day, I had a strange feeling. I think there seems to be some kind of resonance between our spirits. In other words, it's very likely that we also have a potential martial soul fusion skill. Wang Dong grew more excited as she spoke, her eyes sparkling. If we can master a martial soul fusion skill, even against the Hell White Tiger, we definitely have a fighting chance. Ever since that day, there's been a voice in my head guiding me, that feeling can't be wrong. Huo Yuhao looked at the expectant Wang Dong, a flash of extreme disgust and mockery deep in his eyes. Martial soul fusion skill. In the original work, eyes and a butterfly. A scorpion and a hammer. How could spirits that have absolutely nothing to do with each other possibly produce a fusion skill? I'm afraid it's that lofty god King Tang again, using his divine thought to forcefully play matchmaker. Trying to tie me to your war chariot using this method. Dream on. Not interested. Huo Yuhao closed his eyes again, his voice cold as ice. Martial soul fusion skill, I don't need that childish thing that hands victory over to someone else. If you don't have the confidence to defeat that Hell White Tiger, just step off the stage and forfeit. Stop making noise here, it's annoying. You, Wang Dong was furious, I'm doing this to win, why can't you appreciate a good intention? Get out. An aura of coldness that kept others at 1,000 miles, distance emanated from Huo Yuhao. Wang Dong bit her lip, her eyes slightly reddening. In the end, she glared at him fiercely, slammed the door, and left. The room returned to silence. Huo Yuhao slowly opened his eyes. The Sharingan in his right eye rotated slightly as he looked towards the sky. Tang-san, your methods are becoming more and more nauseating. Want me to be your son-in-law? Be your dog? I won't take the bait. Huo Yuhao stroked his right eye, a cruel smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Of course. When my ocular power is strong enough, and the day my eyes evolve into the Rinnegan, I might consider extracting that strand of divine thought you left in your daughter's body, and have some fun with it. After several matches of utterly one-sided domination, Huo Yuhao's team advanced directly to the finals. The new student assessment finals, Soul Fighting Area. The atmosphere was so tense it felt like water could drip from it. The spectator stands were packed, with even the Sea God Pavilion Elder Zahn, conspicuously present. Everyone wanted to see how far the strongest first ring spirit master could go. On one side of the arena, Dai Waban stood with his arms crossed, staring fixedly at the indifferent-looking youth opposite him. That so-called strongest first ring. A contemptuous arc appeared at the corner of Dai Waban's mouth. TCH, just the first ring. Before my white tiger spirit, he's nothing but an ant. But deep in his eyes, a flame called ambition burned. The Duke's mansion was destroyed, mother died a tragic death. Now, as long as I win the freshman championship and gain fame, father will definitely value me more. Then, I'll have the capital to compete with my elder brother, Dai Yuang, for that massive inheritance and the right of succession. Thinking this, Dai Waban looked at Huo Yuhao as if he were a stepping stone. On Huo Yuhao's side, Wang Dong looked at the imposing trio opposite them, Dai Waban, Zulu, Kui Yaji, her expression unusually grave. She took a step forward, once again placing herself in front of Huo Yuhao, her tone carrying a mix of pleading and stubbornness. Huo Yuhao. For this match, let's work together. This opponent is different from before. That Dai Waban is a spirit elder, and that Zulu, once they use their martial soul fusion skill, the consequences will be unthinkable. Huo Yuhao, you idiot. No matter how strong you are, you can't face the Hell White Tiger alone. One day, you'll beg to cultivate a martial soul fusion skill with me. However, Huo Yuhao merely glanced at her indifferently. There was not a trace of nervousness in his gaze, but rather a hint of excitement. The excitement of a hunter finally seeing his prey fall into the trap. Work together. Huo Yuhao's voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached the ears of everyone present. Facing this rabble, I alone am enough. Whoosh. The entire arena erupted in an uproar. Rabble. He actually called the direct descendant of the White Tiger Duke's mansion, a strong team possessing a top-tier martial soul fusion skill, a rabble. Opposite them, Dai Waban's face instantly turned as black as a pot. He was a spoiled young master, raised amidst praise since childhood. And after the Duke's mansion was destroyed and his mother died a tragic death, his personality had become even more violent and sensitive. What he hated hearing most was others looking down on him. Brat. Dai Waban took a step forward, the aura of a spirit elder bursting forth as he pointed at Huo Yuhao and roared. What do you mean by that? Who are you insulting? Huo Yuhao stopped walking, tilted his head, and looked at the furious Dai Waban. He sneered, his tone laced with biting sarcasm. What do I mean? Could it be, your parents never taught you what, rabble, means? Oh, sorry, I forgot. Huo Yuhao's gaze was as sharp as a blade, striking directly at Dai Waban's sore spot. Your mom's dead. Boom. These words were like a depth charge, instantly detonating all of Dai Waban's reason. His mother's death was the greatest pain in his heart, his taboo. Even though the Duchess had died tragically, he still had White Tiger Duke, Dai Hao, backing him. Who would dare provoke him so blatantly to his face? Who would dare joke about his dead mother? You are looking for death. Dai Waban's eyes instantly turned bloodshot, veins bulging on his forehead as a beast-like roar erupted from his throat. You dare to bring up this matter in front of me? Bastard, I'll make you wish you were dead later. I'll crush your bones one by one. Facing this overwhelming killing intent, Huo Yuhao wasn't afraid. Instead, he smiled even more happily. It was the twisted pleasure of an avenger. Wish I were dead. Huo Yuhao slowly raised his head. The air suddenly grew heavy. His originally heterochromatic pupils instantly changed. A pair of Sharingan, both fully evolved to 3 Tomo, activated completely. You won't get that chance. White Tiger Spirit, you inherently evil brat. I'll send you to meet your dear mother myself. Chapter 32, Playing Genjutsu in front of the Sharingan. How dare you insult the spirit of my White Tiger Duke lineage? Dai Waban's face was ferocious, and fire almost spewed from his heterochromatic eyes. I'll make you regret coming into this world. As referee teacher announced the start of the soul dueling arena, the aura of both sides instantly ignited. Boom. Spirit power surged, and both spirits simultaneously attached themselves to their owners. The most eye-catching were undoubtedly Huo Yuhao and Dai Waban, who stood at the very front. Dai Waban's muscles bulged, white fur covered his entire body, and the character, King, on his forehead exuded domineering power. 2 yellow and 1 purple, 3 optimally proportioned spirit rings pulsed beneath his feet. On the opposite side, Huo Yuhao's style seemed out of place. Beneath his feet, a lonely yellow century spirit ring rose. 3 rings against 1 ring. By all appearances, this was a one-sided slaughter. Just then, the pink-haired girl standing behind Dai Waban moved. Kui Yaji, spirit, 9-tailed fox. She didn't rush to attack, but instead looked at Huo Yuhao, and 2 pink rays of light suddenly lit up in her charming peach blossom eyes. First spirit ability, charm. A confident smile played on her lips, and her voice was sickly sweet. Huo Yuhao, don't look down on people. In front of my charm, no one. However, before she could finish her sentence, her voice abruptly stopped. The world had changed. The bustling soul dueling arena disappeared, and Dai Waban and Zulu were gone. Kui Yaji was horrified to find herself in an ancient and eerie Hefeng courtyard. The night sky was cloudless, with only a massive and bizarre crimson full moon hanging high, emitting a suffocating and ominous aura. The surroundings were terrifyingly silent, with only unknown crows cawing mournfully on the dry branches. Ka. Where's this? Kui Yaji felt a chill run down her spine, nervously asking, am I not in the freshman exam? Just then, 2 cold voices conversing came from a house in front. Itachi, I didn't expect you to be able to kill your own parents. This is all, to test my capacity. What a cold voice that was, as if in his eyes, life was nothing more than weeds that could be harvested at any time. Kui Yaji was terrified by the bizarre environment and the murderous dialogue. She instinctively wanted to run, subconsciously taking a step back. Crack. In this dead silent courtyard, the sound was like a clap of thunder. Still some stragglers. Whoosh. A cold light streaked across the night sky. The bamboo sliding door in front was instantly cut to pieces. Before Kui Yaji could even see what was inside, a cold black chain, like a venomous snake, rapidly struck, instantly binding her neck and limbs. Ah. A huge pulling force came, and she was instantly dragged over like a rag doll, heavily falling at that person's feet. This power was extremely strong and bizarre. Kui Yaji desperately tried to mobilize the spirit power in her body to resist, but found that her spirit power seemed to be frozen and completely unable to circulate. She trembled as she raised her head. What came into view was a man in a black robe and a red mask. He held a long sword that was still dripping blood. It was Obito in the red mask from the Uchiha clan massacre night. The single eye beneath the mask was coldly looking down at her. No, don't kill me. Kui Yaji was tearful, her mental defenses completely collapsing. The masked man slowly raised his long sword, and the crimson Sharingan curved into a cruel arc. Oh, these eyes, although not Sharingan, they're not bad either. I'll take them. PFF. The long sword fell, and the world plunged into darkness. Ah. In the real world, on the soul dueling arena. The moment Kuyaji activated her charm, she suddenly let out an extremely shrill scream. Immediately after, her eyes rolled back, she foamed at the mouth, and she violently collapsed to her knees, drenched in cold sweat as if she had just been pulled out of water. Don't kill me, take my eyes, take everything. She clutched her head, rolling on the ground and begging for mercy, clearly having fallen into a state of mental derangement. This was Genjutsu Rebound. Huo Yuhao didn't use any profound ocular jutsu, he merely bounced back the mental force that the opponent had applied. And thoughtfully included the scene of the Uchiha clan massacre night. Yaji. Zulu, who was nearby, was greatly alarmed and quickly tried to help her up, but was frantically pushed away by Kuyaji. This is mental force backlash. Zulu looked at Huo Yuhao, who hadn't even blinked, and a chill rose in her heart. She quickly turned to warn Dai Waban. Waban, be careful, that Huo Yuhao's mental force is terrifying. Don't look into his eyes. Huo Yuhao stood with his hands in his pockets, watching the scene with deep mockery in his heart. Nine-tailed fox spirit, charm. How dare she use Genjutsu in front of the Sharingan? It was like teaching a fish to swim. The gap between your mental force and Genjutsu mastery and mine is 100 times greater than that between Uchiha Itachi and Kurenai Yuhi. However, the disdain in Dai Waban's eyes intensified. TCH. Minor tricks. Dai Waban snorted coldly, in front of absolute power, these mental tricks are nothing. Boom. Dai Waban roared to the sky. His third spirit ring suddenly lit up, glowing with intense purple light. Third spirit ability, White Tiger Vajra transformation. His body swelled up another size, muscles bulging like granite, and a golden luster appeared on his surface. Attack, defense, strength, all attributes instantly skyrocketed. Immediately after, he opened his bloodthirsty maw and aimed it at Huo Yuhao. The second spirit ring flickered. Second spirit ability, White Tiger Light Wave. Roar. A milky white sphere of light, the size of a basketball, carrying destructive spirit power fluctuations, blasted towards Huo Yuhao like a cannonball. The light wave, amplified by the White Tiger Vajra transformation, was powerful enough to severely wound a spirit elder of the same level. Huo Yuhao, be careful. Wang Dong's expression changed behind him, about to step forward to defend. Don't move. Huo Yuhao still maintained his indifferent expression. Facing the whistling sphere of light, he advanced instead of retreating. His hands instantly blurred into afterimages. Seed snake not yet ramp state monkey hype board noon horse yin tiger. The fire attribute chakra in his body was wildly compressed, gathering in his throat. Fire release, great fireball technique. Huo Yuhao took a deep breath, then forcefully exhaled. Whoosh. A huge orange-red fireball, over 3 meters in diameter, carrying rolling heat waves, met the White Tiger light wave head-on. Rumble. The two energies violently collided in midair. The white light wave and the red flames devoured and squeezed each other, finally triggering a fierce explosion. Smoke and dust rose everywhere, and heat waves swept across the entire arena. Dai Waban's eyes widened, his face filled with disbelief. What? The light wave, amplified by the White Tiger Vajra transformation, was actually stopped so easily. That was his powerful long-range attack move. It was actually negated by that seemingly ordinary fireball. In the smoke and dust, Huo Yuhao's figure was faintly discernible. He stood unharmed, not even a corner of his clothes singed. Is this your full power? Huo Yuhao's voice pierced through the smoke and dust, filled with deep disdain. Your moves can only kick up dust. Playtime is over. After speaking, Huo Yuhao formed hand seals again. The water attribute chakra in his body transformed into dense water vapor. Ninja art, hidden mist technique. Whoosh. Huo Yuhao exhaled. The smoke and dust from the explosion hadn't even dissipated when a denser, wetter white mist instantly spread out. In just a few seconds, the entire soul dueling arena was completely enveloped by this thick white mist. Visibility instantly dropped to less than half a meter. Dai Waban felt a vast whiteness before his eyes. Not only could he not see Huo Yuhao, but he couldn't even see Zulu beside him. What kind of move is this? Dai Waban panicked and instinctively adopted a defensive stance. Playing tricks, come out if you dare. However, his only answer was a deathly silence. And, the killing intent faintly visible in the mist. Chapter 33, Humiliating Dai Waban. Right now, you are powerless. As you wish. A cold voice rang out. A sharp, piercing sound of breaking air exploded near his ear. Before Dai Waban could even discern the direction, the shadow of a fist wreathed in dazzling blue-white lightning had already occupied his entire field of vision. First spirit ability, White Tiger Barrier. Dai Waban roared, and a thick white light shield instantly expanded, protecting him within. However, crack. That fist did not pause for even a second. Lightning release chakra instantly disintegrated the spirit power defense. The White Tiger Barrier shattered upon impact. Bang. This punch landed squarely on Dai Waban's arrogant face. PFF. The sound of a nasal bone shattering was clearly audible. Dai Waban violently spat out a mouthful of blood, his entire body flying backward. This is impossible. His eyes widened in midair, his mind going completely blank. What was that speed? What was that power? How could a mere one-ring soul master possibly crush my defense head-on? Before he could even land, an attack from behind struck him once again. This wasn't the body flicker technique, but another clone that had been lying in ambush there for a long time. Go back. Yet another Huo Yuhao appeared. He delivered a heavy, powerful whip kick, striking Dai Waban's back with great force. Arg. Dai Waban was kicked toward the ground like a ball. But the assault was far from over. Just as he was about to hit the ground, the rocks beneath him suddenly exploded. A third Huo Yuhao burst out from the earth, landing a fierce rising dragon punch on his chin, sending him back into the sky. Immediately after, the fourth Huo Yuhao, who had been waiting in midair, clasped his hands together and slammed them down on Dai Waban's head like a slam dunk. Boom. Dai Waban smashed into the stone tiles of the arena like a meteorite, kicking up a ring of gravel and dust. 4 figures landed, standing in the 4 cardinal directions, surrounding the crater Dai Waban. 4 pairs of crimson 3 Tomo Sharingan flickered with an eerie light through the mist, coldly watching the once lofty legitimate son of the Duke. At the bottom of the crater, Dai Waban had landed face first, his face was now covered in blood, and he looked incredibly pathetic. This is impossible. He struggled to lift his head, looking at the 4 identical figures around him, letting out a hysterical roar. I am the legitimate son of the Duke of White Tiger. I am Dai Waban. How could I be defeated by a one-ring commoner? Illusion, this must be an illusion. Just as he was desperately trying to use illusions to numb himself and escape reality, one of the Huo Yuhao clones quickly formed hand seals. Wind release, great breakthrough. Whoosh. A violent hurricane rose from the ground, instantly blowing away the dense fog that shrouded the entire arena. The field of vision became clear. Dai Waban's pupils contracted violently. Because as he followed his line of sight, he saw a fifth Huo Yuhao standing at the other end of the arena. That Huo Yuhao hadn't participated in the group attack. Instead, he was leaning lazily against a slender katana thrust into the ground, as if watching a boring farce. That one was the original body. And the four who had just beaten him to the point of being unable to fight back were all clones. You can't even defeat my clones. The original Huo Yuhao pulled the katana from the ground, his eyes full of contempt. Truly a piece of trash. Wah, T. Those words completely shattered Dai Waban's last bit of pride. Clones. The more clones one produces, the weaker their individual strength should be. Even after splitting into 4 clones, every single one of them could crush me. Then how strong is his original body, exactly? An emotion called despair began to spread in his heart. No, I cannot lose. I must seize the inheritance my mother left behind. I must inherit the title of the White Tiger Duke in the future. I absolutely cannot lose to this commoner. There's still a way. There's still one hope for a turnaround. Martial Soul Fusion skill. As long as we can use the Hell White Tiger, that terrifying power capable of rivaling a spirit ancestor or even a spirit king will definitely crush everything. Huo Yuhao will have no choice but to die. Dai Waban was like a drowning man clutching at a final straw. He quickly locked onto the similarly disheveled Zulu in the distance and used every last bit of his strength to crawl up, disregarding his image. With a hunchback, he ran frantically toward Zulu. Step, step, step. Leisurely footsteps came from behind him. Huo Yuhao didn't use the body flicker technique to pursue. He held his katana in one hand, following behind Dai Waban with slow and composed steps. The scene was remarkably like Sasuke on the bridge, chasing a cornered Danzo who was fleeing like a stray dog. Run, trash. Huo Yuhao's voice was like a maggot on a bone. Right now, you are powerless. Watching the Dai Waban who used to act so high and mighty at the Duke's mansion now scurrying before him like a dog. A surge of satisfaction welled up in Huo Yuhao's heart. Dai Waban, when you were humiliating his mother and son back then, did you ever think this day would come? On the other side, Zulu also noticed the anomaly here. Seeing the blood-covered, staggering Dai Waban and the approaching Huo Yuhao behind him, her heart instantly leapt into her throat. Waban, what happened to you? Years of tacit understanding allowed her to instantly grasp Dai Waban's intention. It was a request to use the Martial Soul Fusion skill, Hell White Tiger. Zulu no longer hesitated. With her Hell-Civet Martial Soul possession, she went full speed, turning into a black afterimage as she flew toward Dai Waban. Don't even think about it. Wang Dong, who had been watching from the sidelines, finally reacted. I don't know what Huo Yuhao is up to, but we can't let them meet. Huo Yuhao, stop them. Wang Dong shouted anxiously, you absolutely cannot let them use their Martial Soul Fusion skill. That's no joke. However, facing the two who were about to meet, Huo Yuhao not only didn't swing his blade to stop them, but he actually stopped in his tracks. He looked at Wang Dong, a contemptuous smile curling at the corner of his mouth. There's no need for that. After saying that, he performed an action that no one in the audience could understand. Body flicker technique. Huo Yuhao's figure vanished instantly. In the next second, he appeared directly behind the running Dai Waban. He didn't use his sword, nor did he use ninjutsu. Instead, he raised his foot, aimed at Dai Waban's butt, and delivered a fierce kick. Thud. Ah. Dai Waban screamed as he was kicked flying like a sandbag. The force of this kick was controlled perfectly, sending Dai Waban right next to Zulu. Dai Waban. Back then, you did exactly this, kicked my mother. This kick, I'm returning it to you. Looking at the two who were now holding each other, their faces filled with shock and joy, Huo Yuhao withdrew his foot and stood in place, not taking the opportunity to attack. Next, I will pull you down into the bottomless pit of despair just when you are most filled with hope. Chapter 34, 5 Release, Great Combo Technique. What, Huo Yuhao, what on earth are you doing? Witnessing that Huo Yuhao not only failed to stop Dai Waban and Zulu's Martial Soul Fusion, but even seemed to assist them by kicking Dai Waban to Zulu's side, Wang Dong couldn't help but shout anxiously. This was simply crazy. He could have won easily, so why create such a desperate situation for himself? Was he so intent on humiliating his opponent that he didn't even care about winning anymore? Not far away, Dai Waban lay in Zulu's arms, his face covered in blood. He glared fiercely at Huo Yuhao, the hatred in his eyes overflowing, almost turning into physical flames. Huo Yuhao. For the humiliation I just suffered, I will pay you back 10,000 times over. Zulu, fusion. Without any hesitation, the two quickly embraced. Their spirit power, which they had practiced countless times, produced a wonderful resonance at this moment. The White Tiger and the Hell-Civet merged perfectly together at this instant. It was a strange feeling. In their field of vision, a massive White Tiger phantom opened its huge mouth, seemingly swallowing the petite black kitty in one gulp. Boom. Intense spirit power fluctuations erupted from the center of their embrace like a geyser. The black and white lights merged completely within the spreading golden aura, turning into a pillar of light that connected heaven and earth. This was a Martial Soul Fusion skill. A Martial Soul Fusion skill was never as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Even two identical spirits might not necessarily possess a Martial Soul Fusion skill, it required complementarity and a perfect match. When the light dissipated, both Dai Waban and Zulu had disappeared. In their place was a giant beast over 8 meters long and 2 meters high. Its body was transparent, with black demonic patterns on its snow-white fur. Its huge purple double-pupiled eyes emitted a suffocating pressure as it looked down coldly at the tiny humans before it. The Hell White Tiger has descended. On the spectator platform. Looking at that majestic giant tiger, Qian Duoduo, the vice dean of the Soul Tool Department, smacked his lips and shook his head with a look of regret. Tisk tisk tisk. This Huo Yuhao was too careless, his hard nature is lacking. To actually let that kid from the Dai family use a Martial Soul Fusion skill, it seems he's out of the running for the championship. Saying this, he glanced at Yan Xiao beside him and said meaningfully. This kind of troublemaker would be a headache even in your Martial Soul Department. Why not? Old Qian, cut that out. Yan Xiao snapped back, his beard bristling. You just want to poach him, don't you? Don't think I don't know what you're up to. Huo Yuhao is an unprecedented 5-attribute twin spirit master. To give such a peerless genius to your soul tool department, can you bunch of potato spirit tool makers even train him properly? Qian Duoduo's expression turned serious, putting away his playful grin. Old Yan, times have changed. The era of spirit masters is coming to an end, next is the era of soul tool masters. Whatever cultivation resources you can provide, our soul tool department can also provide. But the soul tool knowledge we can teach him is something you know absolutely nothing about. The two deans argued until they were red in the face. Clearly, even though a hell white tiger capable of sweeping the freshmen had appeared on the field, their attention remained entirely on Huo Yuhao. As for Dai Waban, he was completely ignored. After all, wild geniuses with a bit of talent like Dai Waban were common. A tear-breaking genius like Huo Yuhao, comparable to Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara in the ninja world, was a once-in-a-millennium find. On the arena, the hell white tiger threw its head back and let out a deafening roar. Roar. A terrifying sound wave mixed with a physical spirit power shockwave instantly swept across the field. Ah. Xiao Xiao, who only had 2 rings, couldn't withstand an impact of this level at all. Even though she desperately tried to block with her 3 live soul-suppressing cauldron, she and the cauldron were still blown away, crashing outside the arena and falling unconscious. With just a single roar, one person was eliminated. Wang Dong struggled to resist, her wings unfolding and pushing her spirit power to the limit just to barely steady herself in the gale. Looking at the invincible giant beast, a deep sense of powerlessness rose in her heart. Huo Yuhao. Wang Dong shouted anxiously, her voice tinged with tears. There's only one way to win now. Let's try a martial soul fusion skill. That feeling, I really felt it, we can definitely do it. However, standing at the very front, Huo Yuhao seemed not to hear her cries at all. He stood firm in the gale, arms crossed, the corners of his clothes fluttering loudly. Those crimson Sharingan eyes observed the massive creature before him with great interest. No fear, no regret. Only a coldness that saw through everything. Oh, so this is the hell white tiger. The corners of Huo Yuhao's mouth curled slightly as he looked coldly at the giant beast. Interesting, 2 pieces of trash merging to actually reach the spirit ancestor level. The hell white tiger's purple double pupils stared fixedly at Huo Yuhao, and the energy waves it emitted swept over again, yet they seemed to have no effect on him. Huo Yuhao's gaze fell on the tiger's black demonic patterns. White tiger, Dai family. Hell civet, Zhu family. Those were the families of the Duchess who had caused his mother's death. New and old grudges doubled at this moment. Huo Yuhao's current mood was like that of the second Hokage, Senju Tobarama, who hated the Uchiha clan to his core, seeing a group of Uchiha who had awakened their eyes gathered together. White tiger and civet spirits, you inherently evil brats. Huo Yuhao slowly uncrossed his arms, chakra surging at his fingertips, his killing intent cold and sharp. I'll finish you off myself. Instead of seeking cooperation as Wang Dong expected, Huo Yuhao raised his hands, crossing his index and middle fingers to form that familiar cross seal. Shadow clone technique. Poof, 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 poof. 4 clouds of white smoke burst open. 4 identical physical clones of Huo Yuhao appeared around the original. Including the original, there were 5 in total. The 5 stood side by side, facing the roaring hell white tiger. Instead of retreating, they all began to form hand seals at high speed. Each clone's hand signs were completely different, and the chakra attributes they channeled were also distinct. Around the first clone, flames flickered. Around the second clone, water vapor misted. Around the third clone, earth and rocks rose up. Around the fourth clone, air currents turned violent. In the original's palm, lightning crackled. In an instant, all 5 Huo Yuhaos finished charging their attacks. With his current chakra reserves, he couldn't yet release an S-rank great combo like Yours and Sarutobi's, but combining 5 B-rank or C-rank ninjutsu together was equally terrifying. 5 release, great combo technique. Boom. Fire release, great fireball. Water release, wild water wave. Earth release, earth flow river. Wind release, great breakthrough. Lightning release, false darkness. 5 completely different attribute attacks erupted simultaneously, merging into a multicolored torrent of destruction that slammed head-on into the arrogant hell white tiger. Chapter 35, Head-Patting Humiliation, Kakun Enran Ninyushu. That multicolored torrent of destruction, carrying an aura that could destroy heaven and earth, slammed violently toward the hell white tiger. Rumble. The hell white tiger's massive body was struck head-on by this flood. Inside the energy body, Dai Waban watched the brilliant light rushing toward him, his face twisting into a manic sneer. It's useless. In the hell white tiger state, your attacks are nothing more than a tickle. Before his voice could fade, the hell white tiger opened its bloody maw. Buzz. A great pillar of light over 2 meters in diameter violently erupted. It was a mixture of energy from the white tiger light wave and hell decapitation, carrying an aura that annihilated everything. Boom. The 2 forces of energy collided violently in the center of the arena. Blinding white light instantly swallowed everything around it. Countless shattered stone tiles were swept into the sky, turning into dust. The entire protective barrier trembled violently, as if it could collapse at any moment. The 2 energy waves reached a stalemate in the air, neither giving an inch. See that? Dai Waban's voice pierced through the noisy explosion, filled with insufferable arrogance. This is the power we have inherited for 10,000 years. A mere first ring thinks they can shake the majesty of our hell white tiger. Submit before the hell white tiger. However, to his surprise, from the source of that destructive torrent came Huo Yuhao's cold and contemptuous voice. So, this is what you look like at full power. Huo Yuhao maintained his hand seal position. Across the energy storm, he looked as if he were watching a performing monkey. If this is all you've got, then there's no more hope for you. All that remains is despair. Arrogant words. Dai Waban's expression shifted slightly, but the surging spirit power within the martial soul fusion skill state gave him infinite confidence. Kid, stop playing tricks. I'll end you right now. With that, he once again frantically overextended his spirit power. The hell white tiger roared toward the sky, and the great pillar of light from its mouth suddenly widened, attempting to push back Huo Yuhao's attack. Just as he fantasized about completely crushing Huo Yuhao and stepping on him, suddenly, a heart-palpitating fluctuation spread out. Huo Yuhao's 5-fold energy attacks, which had been acting independently, actually began to intertwine and rotate. Wind fanned the flames, burst, water conducted the lightning's paralysis, and earth gave mass to the impact. The power of the 5 release, great combo technique instantly surged to another level. Crack. The hell white tiger's gray light pillar was instantly covered in cracks. How is this possible? Dai Waban's eyes widened as he watched the previously balanced situation instantly collapse. His own attack was being crushed and pushed back inch by inch. It's all over. Huo Yuhao shouted. Boom. The 5 release, great combo technique completely suppressed the Hell White Tiger's output, slamming heavily into its main body. The violent sound of the explosion echoed through the clouds. The Hell White Tiger let out a shrill cry of pain. Its massive energy body was blown apart and left incomplete. The previously solid light and shadow became illusory and transparent, as if it could disintegrate at any moment. In the instant where dust filled the air and energy turbulence raged. Whoosh. A figure pierced through the aftermath of the explosion like a ghost. Huo Yuhao used the body flicker technique, his form pulling into an afterimage as he appeared in an instant right before the Hell White Tiger's massive forehead. The distance was less than half a meter. This action made the nearly despairing Dai Waban excited once again. Kid, you actually dared to get close to us. You're looking for death. Although the Hell White Tiger was wounded, its close combat capability was still terrifying. Dai Waban controlled the massive tiger claw, which carried a sharp whistle that tore through the air as it slammed toward Huo Yuhao. On the observation deck, Yan Xiao stood up abruptly, his expression changing drastically. Not good. Why would Yuhao want to use his physical body to tank the Hell White Tiger? That's suicide. No, I have to go save him. However, before he could move. On the arena. Facing the tiger claw, Huo Yuhao did not dodge. He suddenly extended his right hand, palm facing the center of the Hell White Tiger's brow. The wood release chakra inside him surged frantically, converging at a single point in his palm. A pitch black kanji character appeared on his palm. Sit. Wood release, Kakuen Enran Ninushu. Buzz. Huo Yuhao's palm seemingly pressed lightly against the Hell White Tiger's forehead. But at the moment of contact, a domineering seal power instantly poured into the Hell White Tiger's body through his palm. It was an absolute suppression law specifically designed for tailed beasts and violent energy bodies. Roar, woo. Dai Waban and Zulu only felt the previously vast and surging spirit power in their bodies instantly freeze and fall silent. The Hell White Tiger's fierce purple eyes actually closed slowly under the suppression of this power. The previously violent beast was now as docile as a kitten. Crash. The light and shadow dissipated. The massive Hell White Tiger was forced to disintegrate under the suppression. Dai Waban and Zulu's figures reappeared. Both were pale from the spirit power backlash, falling downward without any strength left. Huo Yuhao's right hand grabbed downward with the momentum. Clap. He accurately clamped onto Dai Waban's head. It was an extremely humiliating head-patting gesture. Kneel, down for me. Huo Yuhao exerted force suddenly, grabbing Dai Waban's head and using the momentum of the fall to slam it violently toward the ground. Boom. Dai Waban's face smashed heavily into the hard stone tiles, creating a shallow crater. Blood instantly stained the ground. Before he could even struggle, a foot had already stepped heavily onto the back of his head. It was Huo Yuhao's right foot. With one hand in his pocket and his right foot on Dai Waban's head, he looked down from above at this once arrogant legitimate son of a duke. This posture looked exactly like Dai Waban was performing a dog gaze at Huo Yuhao, kneeling in humiliation. MMPH. Dai Waban struggled desperately, trying to lift his head, several blurred words escaping his mouth as he tried to curse Huo Yuhao. Bah, kill, you. But under the lingering prestige of the powerful secret technique Kakuen Enran Ninushu, which could suppress even the nine-tailed, the spirit power in his body was locked tight, leaving him completely unable to even think of resisting. He could only be stepped on like a dead dog by Huo Yuhao, unable to even utter a complete sentence. The entire venue was deathly silent. In the observation seats, Yan Xiao, who was about to rush down to save him, froze in midair, his mouth hanging open wide enough to fit an egg. This. What did he just see? One hand. One move. He just pressed the Hell White Tiger out of existence. Yuhao actually suppressed the Hell White Tiger with his own strength. This is simply incredible. The shock in Yan Xiao's eyes gradually turned into fanaticism. This kind of method was unheard of. It definitely wasn't an ordinary spirit ability. No matter what price he had to pay, he must get him to join our martial soul department. I absolutely cannot let this person go. On the other side of the arena, Wang Dong, who had been in an idle state the whole time, stared blankly at that back that looked like a demon god stepping on Dai Waban. The radiant goddess butterfly wings drooped powerlessly. One hand, suppressing a martial soul fusion skill. What kind of power is this? I originally thought that as long as I worked hard, as long as we had a martial soul fusion skill, I could fight by his side. But looking at it now, a deep sense of powerlessness welled up in Wang Dong's heart. In this lifetime, will I ever be able to catch up to his footsteps? Chapter 36, The Function of Indra Chakra. In the deathly silent soul dueling arena, the referee teacher swallowed hard, his voice trembling as he broke the silence. The match is decided. Huo Yuhao's team wins. The students and teachers present all widened their eyes, staring at the youth standing in the center of the stage with one hand in his pocket as if they were looking at a monster. At this moment, Huo Yuhao's right foot was stepping on Dai Waban's head, pinning this legitimate son of the White Tiger Duke firmly against the stone slab. Heavens! Is he really a one-ring soul master? He actually defeated Dai Waban, a spirit elder with a White Tiger spirit, head-on. That was the Hell White Tiger. Even an ordinary spirit emperor wouldn't have it easy against that martial soul fusion skill. And yet, he suppressed it, with one hand. After the shock came whispers of schadenfreude. Tisk, Dai Waban has completely lost his dignity this time. Humiliated by being stepped on the head, I don't see how he can keep showing his face in the academy. Serves him right. This guy is usually so arrogant and overbearing just because he's the son of the White Tiger Duke. Finally, someone could put him in his place. Listening to the surrounding discussions and feeling Dai Waban's trembling beneath his foot due to extreme humiliation, a surge of endless pleasure rose in Huo Yuhao's heart. Is this the taste of revenge? No, this isn't enough. Huo Yuhao lowered his head, looking down from above at that face covered in blood and dust. There was no trace of mercy in those Sharingan eyes, only cold mockery. Truly a piece of trash. He slowly lifted his foot, his tone disgusted as if he had just stepped on something filthy. What an eyesore. Before his voice could fade. Bang. Huo Yuhao's right foot, which he had just lifted, suddenly turned into an afterimage. This time it wasn't a step, but a fierce kick, striking heavily against Dai Waban's left cheek. PFF. Dai Waban couldn't even let out a scream as he was sent flying sideways. Several bloody teeth sprayed out, tracing a miserable arc through the air. Stop. Enough. Only then did the senior teachers responsible for the arena's order react. Their figures flickered as they caught the flying Dai Waban just in time. Simultaneously, several streams of spirit power locked onto Huo Yuhao, fearing he might strike again. Huo Yuhao slowly retracted his leg and straightened his slightly messy collar, his expression indifferent. Kill him. If I wanted to, he would have been dead long ago. Such a quick death would be far too merciful for him. Huo Yuhao looked at Dai Waban, who was shielded by the teachers, face covered in blood yet still staring at him with a venomous gaze, and sneered in his heart. Dai Waban, this is only the beginning. In the future, there will be an even more cruel hell waiting for you. Would a dragon care about the anger of an ant? No, a dragon would only find it amusing. In Huo Yuhao's mind, the unlock condition for the tiger skin mask template on the system panel appeared, guide 2 key figures toward different fates. Tang Yao was the first. Hey, Dai Waban. The second slot will be reserved for you. Carry this sky-high hatred, carry your resentment toward me, and live on hideously for now. When you use any means for revenge, when you sell your soul for power, when the time is ripe, whether it's you, the surviving members of the White Tiger clan, or even the Spirit Cat clan, not a single one will escape. Just then, Huo Yuhao's brow furrowed sharply. He suddenly felt that the purple energy, the Indra chakra which had been dormant since he obtained it, was suddenly cycling violently. As if nourished by some emotion, that cold, noble energy was frantically nourishing his ocular power. In his vision, the originally clear world began to show double images. An even more powerful ocular power seemed about to break out of its cocoon, birthing a brand new strength. Is this the evolution of the Mangekyo? Or, Huo Yuhao was startled. No, not now. There are too many eyes here, and that old fox Yan Xiao is still watching from above. This trump card must absolutely not be exposed to these Shrek powerhouses now. Thinking of this, Huo Yuhao took a deep breath and forcibly mobilized his mental force to suppress that restless Indra chakra. The red light in his eyes gradually faded, returning to his original heterochromatic eyes. He turned around and, amidst a sea of awe-filled gazes, walked back to the waiting area. At the highest point of the observation deck, in a shadowed corner, an old man wearing ragged cloth clothes with messy hair was unceremoniously gnawing on a greasy chicken leg while staring with great interest at Huo Yuhao below. He was the elder of the Sea God Pavilion of Shrek Academy, the gluttonous beast Douluo, Elder Zon. This little fellow is quite interesting. Elder Zon threw away a bone, a glint of sharp light flashing in his cloudy old eyes. Earlier, seeing him deliberately allow that kid from the Dai family to use the martial soul fusion skill, and even giving it a push, I thought this boy was simply arrogant. But Elder Zon recalled that scene just now. The look in Huo Yuhao's eyes when he stepped on Dai Waban's head. That wasn't the pride of a youth defeating an opponent, nor was it simple anger. It was a darkness that viewed all living beings as mere grass. I have discovered the darkness in his heart. Elder Zon took another fierce bite of the chicken leg, mumbling indistinctly, yet his tone carried an unmistakable excitement. This kind of darkness, this ruthlessness, and that hard nature of using any means to achieve his goals. It's simply too perfect. Sanctimonious fellows like Yan Xiao and Elder Mu would only train him into some guardian of justice. That would be a waste of a heavenly gift. I'll observe him a bit more, and then I must demand him from Elder Mu to be my personal disciple. Elder Zon wiped his mouth with his oily hands, looking at Huo Yuhao's back as if he were looking at a perfect work of art. I will train him to be the root buried beneath the golden tree. Let him take my place and, in the darkness, protect my Shrek forever. ... After the full efforts of the healing-type spirit masters, Dai Waban finally woke up with difficulty from his coma. He was covered in bandages from head to toe, especially his face, which was so swollen it was almost impossible to recognize his original appearance. With every movement, his entire body flared with intense pain. Huo Yuhao. Dai Waban stared blankly toward the direction of the soul dueling arena, his eyes filled with venomous malice. I will definitely make you pay the price. Shame. This was a shame he had never experienced before. To be stepped on by someone he viewed as a commoner and humiliated in public. If he didn't kill him, this thorn would forever be stuck in his heart, becoming his heart demon. Although the Duke's mansion was wiped out by that mysterious powerhouse, the White Tiger clan and the Duke's mansion are two different things. The Duke's mansion was just his father's private residence, the family elders and core foundations were not there. A starved camel is still bigger than a horse. His father had already anticipated possible danger and specifically sent a family guard responsible for protecting me to hide in Shrek City. That is the six-ring spirit emperor. Huo Yuhao, no matter how much of a genius you are, no matter if you have those strange self-created spirit abilities, can you deal with a secret assassination from a spirit emperor level powerhouse? If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for provoking me. Chapter 37, Amaterasu, Kagetsuchi. The new student assessment awards ceremony. Yan Xiao stood on the high platform, reading the assessment results with a glowing face. The champion of this year's new student assessment is Huo Yuhao's team. There was no suspense, nor were there any excited cheers, because the crushing posture of that final was too shocking, making everyone feel it was only natural. Immediately following that was the reading of the core disciple list. As a genius with twin spirits, Huo Yuhao had shown dominant strength during the assessment. He naturally wouldn't just receive core disciple treatment like in the original story. Instead, Yan Xiao publicly announced that he was being directly recruited as a core disciple. Yuhao, come to my office alone in a moment. Yan Xiao said to Huo Yuhao with a smile. His voice wasn't loud, yet it made the surrounding students' eyes turn red with envy. Regarding your reward, the academy has decided to grant you special treatment. Huo Yuhao nodded slightly, his expression remaining calm. A private reward. He hoped it would be something substantial, not just more empty promises. The ceremony adjourned. Xiao Xiao couldn't wait to lean in, her large eyes full of stars. Class monitor, that palm you used to defeat the Hell White Tiger just now, that move where you pinned the tiger to the ground was seriously so cool. She twisted her fingers somewhat shyly. I heard you have twin spirits. Actually, I have twin spirits too. Since we both have the same talent, why don't we find some time to discuss our cultivate experience? Wang Dong also took the opportunity to lean in. Although she was still a bit tsunere, her tone had clearly softened significantly. Yeah, Huo Yuhao, Xiao Xiao is right. Working behind closed doors isn't as good as mutual discussion. After all, we are teammates who won the championship together. Let's go have a meal tonight to celebrate and exchange some insights while we're at it. How about it? The active invitations from two top-tier young beauties would probably have made anyone else bloom with joy. But Huo Yuhao simply stopped in his tracks and gave them a cold sweep of his eyes. I have no interest in discussing cultivate experience with deadweight. I'm busy. Compared to playing boring romance games with little girls, what he cared about more right now was the restless Indra chakra inside his body and the imminent mutation of his Sharingan. After speaking, Huo Yuhao turned and left without any lingering attachment. Hey, you. Xiao Xiao puffed out her cheeks in anger, looking like a wronged little pufferfish. Wang Dong looked at that heartless retreating back with a face full of helplessness, thinking to herself. This guy is still so icy. But, this kind of aloof temperament that looks down on everyone is actually quite attractive too. Wang Dong clenched her fist, a competitive spirit igniting in her eyes. HMPH, this young miss won't give up so easily. One day, I will definitely make you acknowledge me. ... The back mountain, a hidden forest. After confirming no one was around. Kamui. Huo Yuhao's right eye flashed with red light, and a spatial vortex appeared, instantly sucking him in. Kamui dimension. It was still that same deathly quiet scene, with only the blue stone pillars and the crystal coffin remaining for eternity. Finally, an opportunity. Huo Yuhao sat cross-legged on top of a stone pillar, took a deep breath, and released the suppression on the power within his body. Let me investigate what kind of changes have occurred in this Indra chakra, after being stimulated by the hatred for that trash Daiwaban. Boom. The no longer suppressed Indra chakra instantly went berserk. That cold, noble, curse-laden purple energy was like a flood breaking through a dam, all of it surging into his left eye. Pain. A sharp pain hit him, as if his eyeball were being torn apart and reconstructed. But Huo Yuhao gritted his teeth without making a sound, instead widening his left eye. The original three black tomo spun violently, faster and faster, until they eventually merged into a black blur. Crack. The sound of some boundary being broken echoed in his mind. The three tomo instantly fused and stretched. Finally, they settled into a pattern. It was a pitch-black, sharp-lined hexagram. It was exactly Uchiha Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan. With the evolution of his left eye, Huo Yuhao suddenly felt that the originally indestructible spirit power shackles within his body had instantly vanished. The high-intensity training during this period, along with the massive medicinal power accumulated from continuously refining the foundation consolidation pills, found an outlet at this moment. Boom. His spirit power surged. Rank 21, rank 22, rank 23, his aura climbed steadily, only stopping once it reached rank 25. A breakthrough. Huo Yuhao felt the surging spirit power in his body with some surprise. Since my spirit power rank has broken through the rank 20 limit, does that mean? Huo Yuhao's mind stirred. Light flickered beneath his feet. Besides the first spirit ring disguised as yellow by the heavenly dream ice worm. A brand new spirit ring, emitting an eerie blood red light, slowly rose from beneath his feet. That is, a red 100,000-year spirit ring. This is. Huo Yuhao looked at this spirit ring that had appeared out of thin air in shock. I actually condensed the second spirit ring myself. Without needing to hunt a spirit beast. He recalled his feelings when defeating Daiwaban. That ultimate release of hatred, that pleasure of wanting to destroy everything, and the final joy of stepping on his enemy. Could it be that this is the effect of Indra chakra in this world? Huo Yuhao suddenly understood. Just as the spirit beasts of this world can produce their own spirit rings after cultivating to a certain level. I, who possess the Indra chakra, can also be like the Uchiha clan in Naruto when they awaken their eyes. As long as there's enough intense emotional stimulation and my state of mind reaches the standard, I can directly awaken the corresponding ocular technique and manifest it as a spirit ring. In other words, unlike the ghetto statue spirit, my Sharingan spirit does not require hunting spirit beasts. Wait, then my spirit ability is. Huo Yuhao suppressed the wild joy in his heart and sank his mind into that red second spirit ring. A powerful surge of information flooded into his brain. It was the ocular technique exclusive to this left eye. Huo Yuhao snapped his left eye open, the hexagram pattern spinning crazily. His vision focused on the void ahead. Amaterasu. Whoosh. A mass of pitch-black flames ignited out of thin air in the void. It was the black flame that would never extinguish until the target was burned to ash, emitting a heart-palpitating heat and an aura of destruction. Immediately after, the Kamui Mangekyo in Huo Yuhao's right eye also began to spin, resonating with the left eye. Although he didn't have the Susanoo that comes from having both eyes from the same source, he sensed another companion ability of the left eye. Kagatsuchi. The black flames that were burning wildly instantly underwent a morphological change under Huo Yuhao's will. They transformed into a pitch-black flame sword, then into a flame shield, moving as easily as his own limbs, exceptionally flexible. So that's how it is. Huo Yuhao covered his left eye, the corner of his mouth curling into a demonic, wild laugh. Left eye Amaterasu and Kagetsuchi, black flames and fire control abilities. He stood up, the red and black lights on his body reflecting each other, looking like an Asura returned from hell. The scenery seen by these eyes is the path of revenge. Chapter 38, Two Spirit Bones, Yan Shaoj, the best is yet to come. Kamui Dimension. Just as Huo Yuhao was immersed in the joy of obtaining new ocular techniques like Amaterasu and Kagetsuchi, a sudden, sharp pain violently struck his left eye. Hiss. Huo Yuhao gasped, clutching his left eye. Warm blood flowed through the gaps between his fingers. He opened his palm to see a shocking smear of bright red blood. The originally eerie hexagram pattern quickly receded under his control, reverting back to those deep blue spirit eyes. But these eyes, usually clear, were now covered in terrifying bloodshot streaks. Is this the side effect of the Mangekyo Sharingan? Huo Yuhao panted heavily, sensing the subtle change in his vision. Although it was only a moment of stinging pain, he keenly noticed that the vision in his left eye seemed to have dropped by an imperceptible sliver. Fortunately, I have Hashirama cells. Huo Yuhao sat cross-legged and began to refine chakra. The cells within his body, originating from white Zetsu, became active. Bursts of life-filled wood release power surged through his meridians toward his eyes, nourishing the damaged optic nerves. The stinging sensation gradually vanished, and the bloodshot streaks slowly receded. His ocular power seemed to have recovered. But, Huo Yuhao's brow furrowed. Something wasn't right. It was like a bucket filled with water. Although the wood release power helped him refill the water he used, the bucket's maximum capacity had been permanently reduced by an extremely tiny layer. As the number of uses increased, this limit would get lower and lower until total blindness. Huo Yuhao clenched his fists. Whether it was the Kamui of the right eye or the Amaterasu of the left, though powerful, they were overdrawing his life and light. Hashirama cells could only delay this process, not cure it. I must obtain that, the image of those eyes that never lose their light surfaced in Huo Yuhao's mind. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Although the current system didn't directly provide Obito's eternal Mangekyo template, after all, the original Obito never awakened it, he had a strong premonition. In this Douluo continent where one could cultivate, perhaps as long as certain specific and harsh conditions were met, he could awaken his own unique eternal Mangekyo or even double Kamui. Rest complete. Huo Yuhao stood up and straightened his clothes. Elder Yi, I'll have to trouble you. With Electrolux's help and through the soul connection of the 9-phase sub-UT, Huo Yuhao layered seals on the spirit power fluctuations he had just broken through. The red self-condensed spirit ring was hidden. The aura he displayed to the outside world reverted back to the state of a level 20, one-ring soul master. This ability to self-condense spirit rings without even needing to hunt spirit beasts was too shocking. Before having absolute self-preservation capabilities, this was a path to death and must never be exposed. After finishing all this, Huo Yuhao activated Kamui and left this independent space. Soul Tool Department, Vice Dean's office. Although it was the Soul Tool Department's territory, the one sitting in the main seat at the moment was the Dean of the Martial Soul Department, Yan Xiaoj. Hearing the knock on the door, Yan Xiaoj immediately put down his teacup and stood up enthusiastically, his refined old face wrinkling with a smile. Yuhao, you're finally here. Come in and sit. Yan Xiaoj looked at him like he was a golden goose that had just laid an egg, warmly pulling Huo Yuhao to the desk. Come, take a look. This is the promise I made to you before. He gestured proudly toward an exquisite jade box on the desk. The lid opened, revealing a strange spiritual plant inside. It had 5 leaves, showing 5 colors, red, blue, green, yellow, and purple, emitting a harmonious 5 elements fluctuation. This is a 1000-year spiritual plant, the 5-spirit grass. Yan Xiaoj stroked his beard and introduced, it contains pure attributes of the 5 elements. For a multi-attribute soul master like you, it's a great supplement. Huo Yuhao leaned in to look, sensing the energy fluctuations within the spiritual plant. It was indeed a good item. But, his nose twitched slightly, and his expression became a bit strange. Huo Yuhao looked up at Yan Xiaoj with a half smile. Dean Yan. If I remember correctly, this 5-spirit grass seems to be the raw material for making those 5-element cultivation pills you gave me before, right? And it's the unrefined, hybrid version of the 5 elements. Huo Yuhao held up a finger and gestured. Based on the medicinal potency conversion, the dosage of this single plant seems to be equivalent to just those 5 pills. The smile on Yan Xiaoj's face instantly froze. Cough cough, this kid's eyes are too sharp, aren't they? He had originally wanted to use an impressive-looking spiritual plant to fool him, making him feel like he got more than his money's worth. He didn't expect to be seen through at a glance. Yan Xiaoj shook his head helplessly, cursing in his heart that this kid was as shrewd as an old fox, not looking like a 12-year-old child at all. Cough, you child, you're too serious. Yan Xiaoj gave a dry cough to hide his embarrassment. This is just the appetizer, the appetizer. The reward for you is naturally not that simple. As he spoke, his expression became solemn. A flash of light came from the storage spirit tool on his wrist, and 2 heavy boxes emitting cold air and thunder's light appeared out of thin air on the desk. Yuhao, considering your talent and future development path. This is a special reward given to you by my martial soul department, approved by the Sea God Pavilion meeting. Yan Xiaoj slowly opened the boxes. The big one is here. In an instant, the temperature in the entire office plummeted, accompanied by the crackling sound of electric currents. In the left box was a crystal-clear arm bone, seemingly carved from ice crystals. In the right box was a leg bone with purple light flowing through it, faintly emitting the sound of thunder. This is a left arm bone from a 10,000-year ice crystal saber-toothed tiger, and a right leg bone from a 10,000-year thunder beast. Yan Xiaoj said proudly. Both are at the 10,000-year level, and their attributes are extremely compatible with you. Take them and continue to cultivate hard. This old man hopes you can evolve your water attribute into ultimate ice as soon as possible. At this point, Yan Xiaoj patted Huo Yuhao's shoulder meaningfully. When you reach that stage, remember to come find me. The even bigger reward is still to come. Huo Yuhao looked at the 2 spirit bones and sneered inwardly. The bigger one is still to come. It's nothing more than that so-called Shrek inner court spot, or even a seat in the Sea God Pavilion. To put it bluntly, they just want me to sell myself completely and become Shrek's most loyal dog. However, a free spirit bone is a free spirit bone. Thank you for your kindness, Dean Yan. Huo Yuhao nodded and reached for the 2 boxes. Just as his fingertips touched the thunder attribute spirit bone, a sudden change occurred. Deep within Huo Yuhao's sea of consciousness, the massive ghetto statue, which had remained motionless, suddenly trembled violently. An extremely intense emotion of hunger-like longing emerged. Huo Yuhao's hand jerked to a stop. What is this? He felt the ghetto statue's agitation and shock. The ghetto statue wants to eat this spirit bone. Could it be that besides devouring the souls and origins of spirit beasts, it can also devour spirit bones? Or rather, any high-level item containing a high concentration of elemental attributes. Huo Yuhao calmly put the 2 boxes into his storage ring, suppressing the storm in his heart. If this hypothesis was true, then his future path to becoming stronger might be even broader than he imagined. Since the rewards have been received, Yuhao will not disturb the dean any longer. Huo Yuhao took his leave politely. Spirit bones. It seems that besides hunting spirit beasts, I have another goal for collecting resources. Chapter 39. Devouring Spirit Bones, Koto Matsusakura, and the 44 Seal Water Dragon Bullet. After leaving the dean's office, Huo Yuhao did not return directly to the dormitory. Avoiding the crowds, he made his way to a secluded cave on the mountain behind the academy. After confirming no one was around, his right eye flashed with a red light. Kamui. A spatial vortex twisted, swallowing his figure. Kamui dimension. Huo Yuhao took out the 2 10,000-year spirit bones that Yan Xiaoj had just painfully parted with. The moment the seal on the spirit tool was released, an aura of icy frost and thunderstorms permeated the air. With a thought from Huo Yuhao. Rumble. Several purple chakra chains shot out from his right hand like hungry tentacles, instantly coiling around those 2 precious 10,000-year spirit bones. In an instant, he pulled the 2 spirit bones into his body, right before the ghetto statue. Crunch, crunch. The sound of bone gritting chewing echoed. Those incredibly hard 10,000-year spirit bones, which even a spirit emperor would find difficult to damage, were like crispy crackers in the mouth of the ghetto statue, chewed up and swallowed in just a few bites. Huo Yuhao watched this scene expressionlessly. As expected, the ghetto statue could indeed devour spirit bones. This was a good thing. There was no way I would actually absorb these mere 10,000-year-old pieces of trash, they would only take up my precious spirit bone slots. As the two spirit bones were completely digested, Huo Yuhao stared intently at the statue's 8 tightly closed eyes. The eyelid of the statue's second eye trembled violently, and a crack seemed to open, revealing a sliver of eerie light. But it only lasted for a moment before the eyelid closed weakly again. Not enough. Huo Yuhao wasn't too surprised. After all, the opening of the first eye had required devouring the heavenly dream ice worm, who possessed 1,000,000 years of cultivation. Although the energy in these two 10,000-year spirit bones was pure, they were still far too low in magnitude. However, even though the eye didn't open, the feedback was very real. A heat flow, both cool and numbing, flowed back into Huo Yuhao's body through the connection with the statue. He felt his internal water attribute chakra become deeper and colder, while his lightning attribute chakra became more violent and active. Devouring spirit bones can also strengthen the self. This is much faster than normally refining a medicinal pill. Huo Yuhao clenched his fist, blue-purple electric arcs dancing at his fingertips. The power of his water release and lightning release had increased by at least 1 rank. In that case, it's time to cultivate those more powerful ninjutsu. Over the next few days, Huo Yuhao maintained his demonic training pace. His weight training had already increased to a staggering 1,000 jin. His cultivation of various ninjutsu was also progressing at lightning speed. Especially the strengthened water and lightning attributes. Regarding lightning release, he had already figured out the principles of Chidori, and was attempting to integrate lightning attribute nature transformation into it to develop Sasuke's signature techniques like Chidori Sharp Spear and Chidori Current. Amidst this monotonous cultivation, a small interlude occurred. This afternoon, at the training ground, Huo Yuhao was standing on the water surface, practicing water attribute nature transformation, the lake water beneath his feet rising and falling with his breath. Found you, Huo Yuhao. A feminine shout broke the silence. Huo Yuhao turned his head to see Wang Dong walking over aggressively. Something the matter? He asked calmly. Wang Dong took a deep breath, looking at this guy who inspired both love and hate, her gaze firm. Even though I know there might be a gap between us, I don't want to be the one who can only watch your back forever. I want to know just how much stronger you are than me. As soon as she finished speaking, Wang Dong directly performed martial soul possession. The gorgeous wings of the radiant goddess butterfly unfurled as she flew into the air, looking down at Huo Yuhao. Wang Dong thought to herself. Perhaps, he likes the kind of powerful female spirit master who can fight side by side with him. As long as I prove I'm not weak, as long as I'm stronger than him, will his opinion of me change. I am also a top-tier genius with twin spirits, and even the young master of the Clear Sky clan. Even if there's a gap now, who knows what the future holds. On the water surface, Huo Yuhao looked at the self-satisfied Wang Dong, who seemed as if she were under the influence of a Koto Masusakura illusion, and his mouth couldn't help but twitch. Challenge me. Just as well, I just learned the technique and haven't found anyone to test it on yet. Fine. Huo Yuhao agreed casually, his nonchalant attitude like agreeing to play house with a child. Be careful. Wang Dong gave a warning as her second spirit ring lit up. Second spirit ability, Light of the Butterfly Goddess. Countless golden orbs of light condensed around her, ready to fire. However, at the exact moment she was about to launch her attack, she saw Huo Yuhao move. Huo Yuhao didn't dodge. Instead, standing on the water, his hands blurred into a series of afterimages. Rat ox monkey horse dragon pig bird ox horse dog. That long string of hand seals was so complex and dizzying that they were nothing but a blur. Wang Dong suddenly felt a sense of panic. During her previous time with Huo Yuhao, she had seen him perform seals before using those strange elemental spirit abilities. But usually, it was only 3 or 4, at most 5 or 6. But this time, wasn't the number a bit too much? A strong sense of foreboding welled up in her heart. Whatever, go. Wang Dong steeled herself and controlled the sky full of light of the butterfly goddess to blast toward Huo Yuhao. At that moment, Huo Yuhao's 44th seal was completed. Tiger. He took a deep breath, and the chakra in his body was instantly drained by a significant amount. Water release, water dragon bullet technique. Rumble. The originally calm lake surface instantly exploded. A ferocious and majestic giant water dragon over 10 meters long rose into the sky with a deafening roar. Before this giant dragon, Wang Dong's seemingly magnificent light of the butterfly goddess looked as small as fireflies. What is that? Wang Dong couldn't even finish her sentence. Roar. The water dragon opened its massive maw, swallowing all the golden light orbs in one gulp. With undiminished momentum, it slammed heavily into Wang Dong in midair. Ah! A miserable scream. Like a butterfly with wet wings, Wang Dong was instantly swatted away by the water dragon bullet. She traced a pathetic arc through the air before landing with a loud thud, slammed against a large tree on the shore. The tree shook violently, leaves fluttering down. Wang Dong slid to the ground, soaked to the bone, her hair a mess, completely dazed by the impact. Huo Yuhao stood on the gradually calming water, looking at the drenched Wang Dong, and slowly withdrew his hand. Do you see it now? His voice remained cold and heart-piercing. The gap between me and you is something you should spend your whole life trying to close. ... After this interlude ended, the rest of the training proceeded as usual. Soon, Shrek Academy's annual holiday arrived. This also meant that the Akatsuki organization assessment Huo Yuhao was conducting for Tanya had officially begun. Early morning. Huo Yuhao didn't say goodbye to anyone. He changed into a set of black robes, carried a simple pack, and his figure slowly walked out of the magnificent gates of Shrek City. In a dense forest after he left Shrek City, several pairs of cold eyes were staring fixedly at that lonely figure through the gaps in the leaves. They were several spirit masters dressed in black robes with obscured auras. The leader held a portrait, compared it, and said in a raspy voice. Target confirmed. It's him, Huo Yuhao, a Shrek first-year freshman. A black-robed person beside him curled his lip in disdain. Just a mere one-ring soul master. I really don't know what the young lord is thinking. To kill such an ant, he actually mobilized several of us. He even called upon you, Captain, a spirit emperor. This is truly using a cleaver to kill a chicken. The leading spirit emperor coldly put away the portrait, a chilling light flashing in his eyes. Shut up. I don't care if he's a one-ring or a commoner. We just do as the young lord arranged. Remember, the young lord said he wants him to wish he were dead. Move out. Chapter 40, Chidori Current, Chidori Sharp Spear. Outside Shrek City, in a suburban forest. The figure that had been rapidly darting through the treetops suddenly stopped without any warning. Huo Yuhao stood on a thick tree trunk, his back to the shadows behind him, his voice as calm as if he were making small talk. Everyone, you followed me all the way here. Isn't it time to come out? The forest fell into a brief, deathly silence. Immediately after, a rustling sound echoed. 6 figures dressed in gray slowly stepped out from the surrounding shadows, surrounding Huo Yuhao in a fan shape. Their clothing was simple, without any sect markings, clearly a result of careful disguise. The leader was a tall middle-aged man, about 30 or 40 years old, with sinister eyes and a dangerous aura emanating from his body. Kid, your alertness is pretty good. The man spoke coldly. Someone wants your life. If you're smart, give up resisting, and I can give you a quick death. Don't blame us for being heartless. If you must blame something, blame the fact that you offended someone you shouldn't have. Huo Yuhao slowly turned around, looking down at these few rats from his high vantage point. Buzz. Spiritual detection activated instantly. In his mind, the spirit power fluctuations of these 6 people were as clear as candle flames in the dark night. 6 people in total. The leader was a 6-ring spirit emperor. There was also a 5-ring spirit king, and the remaining 4 were all 4-ring spirit ancestors. Truly interesting, such a luxurious lineup used to intercept and kill a single 2-ring great soul master. If it were an ordinary person, or even a spirit king, they would likely find it impossible to escape today. But a cruel smile curled at the corner of Huo Yuhao's mouth. Encountering me can only be considered your bad luck. With a thought. Within the sea of consciousness, he instantly communicated with the ghetto statue. The white Setsu symbiote obtained when the system activated the furious child template began to emerge, continuously covering his entire body. Huo Yuhao looked at the murderous assassins below and sneered. So it's just a bunch of lapdogs who dare not show their faces. With trash like you think you can kill me? How about, I leave you all here to serve as fertilizer? This sentence instantly enraged the assassins present. Hey, what big words. A tall, thin old man standing beside the leader laughed out of anger. You're just a 2-ring great soul master. I see you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Boom. Martial soul possession. 5 spirit rings, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, and black, rose from beneath the old man's feet. Martial soul possession, yellow sand. He suddenly raised both hands, and the soil on the surrounding ground instantly turned into sand, with countless grains of yellow sand surging like living things. 4th spirit ability, sand binding coffin. Huo Yuhao only felt the ground beneath his feet go soft. The tree trunk he was standing on instantly shattered into dust. Then, a massive mass of quicksand coiled upward like a giant python, tightly binding his legs and waist, fixing him in midair. Got him. A flash of joy crossed the thin old man's eyes. Move. The 4 spirit ancestors, who had long been prepared, moved instantly. Except for an archer in the distance, the other 3 melee spirit ancestors simultaneously performed martial soul possession, blade, sword, and hammer. The 3 of them were like hungry tigers pouncing on prey, turning into 3 afterimages as they charged at the bound Huo Yuhao from different angles. Kid, I hope you learn to revere the strong in your next life. Looking at the approaching blades, Huo Yuhao didn't struggle. Instead, he slowly closed his eyes. Reverence. Only the weak need to revere others. White matter completely covered his body, turning into a full suit of armor. White Setsu possession, complete. After months of bitter cultivation and the fusion with Hashirama cells, the quality of this body was already far beyond what it used to be. Now, under the enhancement of White Zetsu, Huo Yuhao could clearly feel that his physical strength and chakra volume had skyrocketed to a terrifying level. It was a physical toughness comparable to a spirit saint. More importantly, the duration of this form had been extended to half an hour. Huo Yuhao suddenly snapped his eyes open, lightning exploding within his pupils. Since you've delivered yourselves to my door, I'll use you to test my newly developed ninjutsu. The lightning attribute chakra within his body circulated frantically, erupting as electricity. Chidori current. ZZT, boom. With Huo Yuhao as the center, a circle of blinding blue-white high-voltage current instantly erupted, like a blooming lotus of lightning. The yellow sand binding him was directly blown apart the moment it touched the electricity, instantly disintegrating. And those 3 spirit ancestors who thought victory was in their grasp and had already rushed in front of Huo Yuhao didn't even have a chance to react. Ah. The screams were shrill and ear-piercing. The current instantly pierced through their bodies. The bodies of the 3 convulsed violently in the lightning, their skin instantly turning charred black. In just a single breath. The 3 4-ring spirit ancestors flew backward like pieces of charcoal, slamming heavily onto the ground, smoke rising from their bodies, showing no more signs of life. Instant kill. How is this possible? The thin old man in the distance and the leading spirit emperor's pupils contracted violently, unable to believe their eyes. In a single encounter, 3 spirit ancestors were instantly killed. Just then. Twing. The explosive sound of a vibrating bowstring rang out. The archer spirit ancestor in the distance, who had remained still, finally made his move. He drew his longbow to its limit, the 4th spirit ring flashing with dazzling light. 4th spirit ability, Arrow of the Wind God. An arrow formed entirely from condensed green wind elements, carrying a space-tearing shriek, shot toward the center of Huo Yuhao's forehead at a speed invisible to the naked eye. This arrow was as fast as lightning and aimed at an extremely tricky angle, precisely during the gap when Huo Yuhao's old strength had just been spent and his new strength had yet to rise. However, Huo Yuhao didn't even turn his head. The moment the arrow was about to touch the center of his forehead. Within his right eye, the 3 Tomo instantly fused, turning into a 3-side-shaped Mangekyo pattern. Kamui. Whoosh. The arrow of the wind god, carrying a lethal momentum, passed through Huo Yuhao's head without any obstruction. It was as if it had passed through a mass of air. The arrow shot into the tree trunk behind him, blowing out a massive crater. What? The archer in the distance widened his eyes, his hand still in the posture of having just released the arrow, his mind a complete blank. A miss, is this some kind of spirit tool, or a spirit ability? In that brief moment of his daze. Huo Yuhao turned his head, his crimson eyes locking onto him from several meters away. He slowly raised his right hand, without forming any hand seals. ZZT. Extremely condensed blue lightning gathered in his palm, no longer a violent diffusion, but an ultimate compression and extension. Chidori sharp spear. Shoo. A beam of blue lightning, as thin as a finger yet blindingly bright, suddenly extended from his palm. The beam instantly crossed several meters, like an infinitely lengthening spear of light. Its speed was even faster than the arrow of the wind god from before. PFF. A soft sound. The archer spirit ancestor didn't even have time to retract his martial soul before his heart was instantly pierced by this beam of lightning. He looked down at the charred hole in his chest, his eyes filled with disbelief. It seems, the speed of my Chidori sharp spear far surpasses your arrow of the wind god. Huo Yuhao's cold voice sounded as if it were right next to his ear. This technique, Chidori sharp spear, was a ninjutsu he had replicated by combining shape transformation after mastering the lightning attribute nature transformation. It was an instant cast without hand seals, with an extremely long range and powerful penetration. Without extremely high speed or predictive abilities, it was impossible to react to. It's not over yet. Huo Yuhao made a grasping motion with his right hand. Burst. Puff puff puff. The end of the lightning beam that had pierced the enemy's body suddenly exploded, turning into countless sharp lightning spikes that raged wildly inside the archer spirit ancestor's body. In an instant, his internal organs were ground to pieces. The spirit ancestor didn't even let out a scream before falling straight down. Silence. A deathly silence. From the start of the battle until now, only a few breaths of time had passed. Four ring spirit ancestors, completely wiped out. Only the Spirit King old man with the yellow sand spirit and the Spirit Emperor leader who had not yet acted remained on the field. Their expressions had shifted from initial playfulness to current solemnity, and even horror. Who would have thought that assassinating a mere 2-ring great soul master would result in kicking such a hard steel plate? Kid, you're good. The leading Spirit Emperor took a deep breath, the aura on his body beginning to climb steadily as his 6 spirit rings rhythmically pulsed. To think you actually killed 4 of our brothers. The yellow sand old man beside him also had a gloomy expression, and the surrounding quicksand began to surge frantically. Clearly, he was truly enraged. Fine. The old man stared intently at the youth, his voice hoarse. Only like this is there value in you dying by my hand. Chapter 41. You can never dodge this ninjutsu. Amaterasu. The 4 spirit ancestors lying on the ground were still emitting plumes of green smoke, while the culprit, Huo Yuhao, merely twisted his neck nonchalantly, producing a series of crisp cracking sounds. He raised his hand, the dancing electric light on his fingertips reflecting off his crimson Sharingan. Who's the next one to come and die? The only 2 experts remaining on the field, the Spirit Emperor Chaizen and the elderly Spirit King who controlled Yellow Sand, now had expressions of extreme solemnity. Chaizen stared intently at Huo Yuhao, his mind racing as he tried to find a logical explanation. This kid's speed, strength, and that method of ignoring attacks is absolutely impossible for a 2-ring spirit master to possess. A spirit tool. It must be some kind of high-level offensive lightning attribute spirit tool, combined with a defensive spatial spirit tool. A hint of ruthlessness flashed in Chaizen's eyes. I don't believe a spirit tool of that level can be used indefinitely without a price. As long as his spirit power is exhausted, he'll be nothing more than a lamb to the slaughter. He decisively attributed all of Huo Yuhao's strange performances to external power. Because in his understanding, he could never imagine that a biological cheat like White Zetsu existed in this world, capable of instantly boosting a host's cultivation to the spirit sane level. Old Huang, move. Chaizen barked, and years of unspoken understanding allowed the 2 to instantly formulate a tactic. 5th spirit ability, Ferocious Tiger's Wild Dance. Chaizen roared at the sky as his spirit, the blazing tiger, possessed him. His hands instantly swelled, transforming into a pair of massive tiger paws burning with orange-red flames. Boom. He kicked off the ground violently, his entire body like a cannonball launched from a barrel, enveloped in high heat and fierce winds as he charged straight at Huo Yuhao. Kid, dying at my hands can be considered your honor. Facing this menacing Spirit Emperor level charge, Huo Yuhao didn't retreat. Instead, he tapped his toes and, with a body as fast as lightning, proactively met the attack. Seeking death. The murderous light in Chaizen's eyes intensified as his tiger claws swung down with a sharp whistle that tore through the air. However, the expected sensation of flesh and blood flying didn't come. The moment the tiger claws touched Huo Yuhao's body, his entire being seemed to turn into a phantom. Kamui. Chaizen's massive body actually passed through Huo Yuhao without any resistance, as if he were passing through a layer of air. What? Chaizen's pupils shook violently as he slammed on the brakes and turned his head. This move again. Does his spatial spirit tool have no cooldown limits at all? However, his combat instincts as a spirit emperor allowed him to quickly calm down. Kid, don't get cocky. Chaizen grinned savagely. You dodged this move, but you might not be so lucky with the next one. Just as Huo Yuhao passed through Chaizen and had just turned around, a sudden change occurred. On the ground directly in front of him, countless grains of yellow sand surged frantically, instantly condensing into a massive yellow cube that crashed toward him with the weight of Mount Tai. 5th spirit ability, Sand Solidification. In the distance, the elderly man of the yellow sands raised his hands, palms to the sky, his eyes gleaming with a sinister light. Kid, this is a high-density compressed block of sand. Even if you can shatter the sand cube, I can instantly control the scattered sand to transform into countless sand spikes for a secondary attack. I don't believe your spatial spirit tool can stay active forever. A massive shadow loomed over Huo Yuhao. Facing the predicament of being attacked from both front and back, the corner of Huo Yuhao's mouth beneath his mask curled up slightly. He didn't dodge, nor did he use Kamui again. He raised his right hand high above his head. ZZZZT. A blue lightning light, more dazzling and condensed than before, gathered in his palm, emitting a sharp sound like the chirping of 1,000 birds. Too slow. Huo Yuhao's gaze was cold. Chidori sharp spear. Swoosh. A 10-meter-long blue lightning spear instantly extended from his hand. Pucci. Without any hindrance. The seemingly indestructible sand cube was like tofu before the Chidori sharp spear, instantly pierced and disintegrated. The lightning spear's momentum didn't flag. Like a blue laser, it instantly crossed dozens of meters and fell from the sky. Wah. The elderly man of the yellow sands in the distance only felt a flash of blue light before his eyes. Before he could even control the scattered sand for a second attack, that bolt of lightning had already struck down from the top of his head. Just like cutting through butter. The Chidori sharp spear sliced in from the crown of his head all the way down to his crotch. How, so fast? The old man's eyes instantly glazed over, and his body was split neatly in half down the middle. The corpse fell to the ground. Huo Yuhao slowly retracted the lightning. At that moment, the 3-tomo Sharingan in his left eye spun frantically, recording every detail of the old man's sand manipulation. Controlling sand, interesting. Through the analysis just now, I've understood some of the principles of magnet release. This technique of manipulating iron sand or soil through magnetic force, perhaps I can try to integrate and develop it in the future. Having dealt with the old man, Huo Yuhao turned around once more. Those emotionless eyes looked toward the last living person on the field. Next, it's you. Huo Yuhao's voice carried no warmth. The last survivor. Chaizen stood where he was, cold sweat streaming down his forehead. Looking at his old partner who had been sliced in half with a single blow, and then at the unharmed youth, a chill rushed from his spine straight to the crown of his head. Dead, he's dead. That was the extremely defensive sand solidification. It was actually sliced through like cutting vegetables. Chaizen swallowed hard, his legs feeling a bit weak. Is he really just a two-ring spirit master? This kind of attack power, these bizarre methods, he has at least the combat strength of a spirit emperor, no, even a spirit saint. Could it be, he's a direct descendant of some hidden world sect? No. This mission can't be completed. I have to go back and report to the young lord first. This kid is a monster. I must return to the White Tiger clan to reconsider and request an elder at the spirit Douluo level to take action. Thinking this, Chaizen began to retreat quietly. But he continued to bluster with false bravado, trying to distract Huo Yuhao. Kid, don't be too arrogant. By killing our people, more experts will come looking for trouble with you in the future. With that, his spirit power erupted, and he spun around violently, turning into a streak of fire as he fled into the depths of the dense forest. Humph. Huo Yuhao sneered as he watched the wretched figure fleeing. Trying to escape. He stood where he was, making no move to pursue. The original three-tomo pattern in his left eye instantly changed. The three-tomo fused and stretched, transforming into a pitch-black, sharp-lined hexagram pattern. Mangekyo Sharingan. He simply raised his left hand slowly and covered his left eye. A surge of ocular power instantly locked onto the high-speed moving Chaizen. You can never dodge this ninjutsu. Huo Yuhao whispered softly. Amaterasu. 2 lines of shocking bloody tears flowed down from the corner of his left eye. And at the point where his vision focused, on Chaizen's back. Whoosh. A ball of fire as black as ink ignited out of thin air without warning. Ah. The sprinting Chaizen suddenly let out a scream and slammed heavily onto the ground. He looked in terror at the black flame on his back. It wasn't hot, yet it carried a terrifying aura capable of swallowing everything. What the hell is this? Chaizen frantically mobilized the spirit power in his body, attempting to use his blazing tiger flames to counteract the black fire. 5th spirit ability, blazing body protection. Orange-red flames erupted from his body, trying to disperse the black fire. However, a scene that drove him to despair occurred. Upon contact with his spirit power flames, the black fire not only failed to extinguish but instead seemed to have encountered the best fuel, instantly surging. It was devouring his flames. No, this is impossible. Chaizen rolled frantically on the ground, trying to smother the fire, but the black flames were like maggots on a bone, impossible to extinguish. What kind of spirit ability is this? These black flames actually can't be put out. He watched in despair as his arms and torso were devoured bit by the black flames. No matter how he struggled, that fire of hell continued to burn quietly. Chapter 42, Genjutsu Interrogation, Devouring Spirit Origin. In an instant, the previously arrogant spirit emperor Chaizen completely lost his ability to move. Although the contact with Amaterasu's black flames was brief, they had already burned through the meridians and muscle fibers across his entire body. At this moment, he was like a dead dog with its bones removed, lying on the ground letting out continuous roars of pain, breathing more out than in. Huo Yuhao walked to his side, that crimson left eye spinning once again. Kagatsuchi. With a thought, the black flames that originally would not stop until their target was dead instantly became docile under the control of the Mangekyo's ocular power, then dissipated into thin air. After all, if he were burned to ash, there would be no way to interrogate him. Huo Yuhao leaned down, staring at this fear-stricken, charred spirit emperor, a mocking curve hooking the corner of his mouth. Finally behaving. Weren't you just clamoring about wanting to kill me? He reached out and patted Chaizen's face, which was already burned beyond recognition. Speak, who sent you? Chaizen's whole body trembled, his single eye filled with despair and horror. He never imagined that this assassination mission, which he thought would be as easy as taking candy from a baby, would actually end with him in this state. They were a spirit emperor, a spirit king, and 4 spirit ancestors. Such a lineup was enough to surround and kill several spirit emperors. But now, they had been completely counter-killed in an instant by a 2-ring spirit master. This youth was simply a monster in human skin. If I don't speak, I will die. But if I do, Chaizen thought of the White Tiger clan's cruel house rules and his wife, children, and parents back in the family. This kid's background is definitely not simple. If the White Tiger clan finds out I leaked the secret, my family will definitely wish they were dead. Cough, cough, PFF. Chaizen spat out a mouthful of black blood containing fragments of internal organs, his eyes becoming dead and resolute. Don't even think about it. I won't tell you anything. If you have the guts, just kill me. Huo Yuhao sneered, his eyes showing no hint of surprise. Won't speak, huh? Tough guy. Huo Yuhao slowly crouched down, those eerie eyes locking onto Chaizen's eye. Since you don't want to speak, then I'll see for myself. Genjutsu. Buzz. 3 tomo spun wildly in Huo Yuhao's pupils, and a vast and overbearing ocular power instantly and brutally crashed into Chaizen's already collapsing spiritual world. Chaizen's body suddenly stiffened, his single eye instantly losing focus. Immediately after, 3 black tomo eerily emerged on his eyeball. Control complete. Before a genjutsu enhanced by White Zetsu, an attack system spirit emperor whose mental force was already not strong had no secrets to speak of. Speak, who was the mastermind? Huo Yuhao's voice was like a divine oracle. Chaizen's expression became dull, his lips opening and closing mechanically. It's, young Master Dai Waban. He was humiliated by you at the freshman tournament and held a grudge, so he deployed us, the White Tiger family death soldiers sent by Lord White Tiger Duke Dai Hao to protect him personally. In order to assassinate you. Huo Yuhao's eyes narrowed slightly. White Tiger clan. Chaizen replied mechanically, yes, the Duke's mansion is only Lord Dai Hao's private residence, while the White Tiger clan's true foundation and clan elders are all in the ancestral home in Star Luo City. Interesting. Huo Yuhao understood in his heart. No wonder the strongest person in the Duke's mansion in the original story was just that spirit emperor guard captain. Huo Yuhao stood up, the killing intent in his eyes growing even stronger. Very good, Dai Waban. You actually dared to send people to assassinate me. In Huo Yuhao's mind, a special form icon from the Obito template series that had not yet been unlocked appeared on the system's light screen. It was an image of a person wearing a red mask and holding a long blade. Mysterious masked man Crimson Knight Blade. Dai Hao and the White Tiger clan. When the timing is right, I will personally put on this red mask and give you all a big surprise. As for you, Dai Waban, I will make you step by step, willingly, become the most perfect sacrifice in my plan. The interrogation ended. Huo Yuhao released the genjutsu. Chaizen instantly snapped back to his senses, and when he realized what he had just said, his eyes were filled with despair and regret. Now, you can be on your way. Huo Yuhao did not give him a chance for final words. The ocular power of his left eye surged. Kagetsuchi. A cluster of pitch black Amaterasu flames condensed in his right hand, molded by shape transformation into a black flaming short sword. PFF. Huo Yuhao stabbed the black flame short sword into Chaizen's chest without hesitation. Just as the black flames touched Chaizen's body, preparing to burn him completely. Huo Yuhao's movement suddenly paused. He keenly felt that the Kagetsuchi black flames in his hand seemed to resonate with something inside Chaizen's body. That was the origin power of the blazing fiend tiger spirit. Both being fire attributed, the ultimate fire of Amaterasu had absolute dominance over lower tier flames. At that moment, deep within the sea of consciousness, the dormant Gedo statue once again sent out a violent surge of restlessness. A hunger even stronger than when it devoured the spirit bone. Huo Yuhao's heart stirred. Could it be, he tentatively controlled Kagetsuchi, no longer for simple destruction, but using it as a medium like a straw to begin forcibly extracting the spirit origin from Chaizen's body. Ah! Chaizen let out a scream 100 times more miserable than before. A mass of crimson light and shadow was being brutally stripped from his body. That was his spirit, his foundation as a spirit master. Come, to me! Huo Yuhao shouted lowly. That mass of crimson spirit origin flowed continuously into Huo Yuhao's body along the black flames, finally being swallowed in one gulp by the Gedo statue in his sea of consciousness. Buzz. The Gedo statue let out a satisfied low growl, and the withered wooden texture on its body seemed to become a bit more lustrous. And in the outside world, having lost his spirit origin, Chaizen's body rapidly shriveled and withered. Finally, under the residual power of Amaterasu, he completely turned into a pile of flying ash, scattering with the wind. Huo Yuhao stood in place, eyes closed, feeling the changes in the Gedo statue. Although no new eyes had opened, he could clearly feel that the energy stored inside the statue had increased by another portion. So that's how it is. Huo Yuhao opened his eyes, a look of wild joy appearing at the corners of his mouth. I can even devour the origin of a spirit. It makes sense. The relationship between a spirit and a spirit master is, in a sense, somewhat similar to the relationship between a Jinchuriki and a tailed beast in Naruto. Huo Yuhao looked at his right hand. According to his previous deduction, to make the Gedo statue's eyes light up and revive the 10 tails, a massive amount of energy was needed. It seems that in the future, besides hunting spirit beasts, devouring spirit origins is also a path. Only, Huo Yuhao frowned slightly. I can only rely on Kagetsuchi's attribute suppression right now to barely draw out fire-attributed spirit origins. If I want to obtain other elemental spirits, like water, earth, wind, my current methods won't work yet. I'm afraid I still need that technique. In his mind, one of the ultimate rewards for reaching 100% progress in the tiger skin mask template appeared. Sealing technique, tailed beast extraction seal. That domineering sealing technique capable of forcibly stripping a tailed beast from a Jinchuriki. If I learn that, and combine it with my Gedo statue, then all the top-tier spirits on this continent will become my nourishment. Huo Yuhao turned around and looked towards Shrek City, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Dai Waban, just you wait. Once I finish my mission for this trip, I'll go back and give you some good guidance. Chapter 43, Tanga awakens the Karen physique. As Chaizen turned to dust, the dense forest seemed to return to tranquility. Huo Yuhao stood in place, sensing the joyful fluctuations within the Gedo statue after devouring the spirit's origin, and was just about to plan his next move. Suddenly, his brow twitched slightly. In his spiritual detection, the corpse of the yellow sand elder that had been split in two by the Chidori sharp spear not far away began a bizarre writhing motion. The corpse, which had already lost its vitality, suddenly disintegrated, turning into a cloud of yellow sand. Immediately after, this large mass of sand rapidly split apart on the ground. A small portion clung to the ground, fleeing outward frantically like a startled snake. While the remaining large mass abruptly gathered, forming a giant sand hand that, with the viciousness of a final desperate lunge, fiercely clawed at Huo Yuhao's back. Not dead. Huo Yuhao didn't turn around, instead, a corner of his mouth curled into an interested smile. I've been watching you all along. This yellow sand spirit is quite interesting. It can actually elementalize itself to evade fatal injuries. However, Huo Yuhao stood his ground, not moving a single finger. This, of course, wasn't because he failed to react, but because it was no longer necessary for him to act. Just as the sand hand was about to touch the hem of Huo Yuhao's clothes. Thud, thud. Without any warning, the ground exploded. Countless thick, pitch-black tree roots, covered in eerie red demonic patterns, burst forth from beneath the sand mass like tentacles from hell. Like sharks that had smelled blood, they instantly tightly bound the sand that had attempted the sneak attack. Squeak. A sound resembling the shriek of a rat seemed to echo in the air. It was the wail of the yellow sand elder's remaining life force. But before the terrifying devouring power of the dark blue silver tree, all struggles were futile. In the span of a single breath, both the attacking sand hand and the distant stream of sand attempting to escape lost their luster, turning into dry, gray, lifeless soil that scattered with the wind. Life force, completely drained. Rustle, rustle, rustle. A series of light footsteps approached from deep within the forest. Similarly clad in a wide black robe, a hood concealed most of her face, revealing only a delicate yet slightly pale chin. Tanya retracted her spirit and quickly walked to Huo Yuhao's side, her tone unable to conceal her anxiety. Little Yuhao, are you all right? As soon as I entered this forest, I sensed the fluctuations of a powerful battle. Did they hurt you? Huo Yuhao turned around and looked at the girl before him, who was beginning to possess the aura of a rude leader. A hint of appreciation flashed in his eyes. Her actions were decisive, without the slightest hesitation. It seems the baptism in the Kamui dimension had a greater effect than I imagined. I'm fine. Huo Yuhao's tone was indifferent. Just a few ignorant ants, they couldn't hurt me. Hearing Huo Yuhao's words, Tanga visibly relaxed. But then, she made a move that Huo Yuhao hadn't expected. Rip. Tanga actually rolled up the sleeve of her right arm, revealing her fair, lotus root-like forearm. She offered her arm to Huo Yuhao's mouth, her gaze firm and clear. Little Yuhao, quickly, bite my arm. Huo Yuhao was taken aback. Looking at the fair wrist before him, an incredible guess formed in his mind. Bite her arm. No way, could she have awakened that ability? Seeing Tanya's unwavering gaze, Huo Yuhao didn't hesitate. He opened his mouth and gently bit down on her forearm. At that very moment, a warm, pure, and rich life force-infused spirit power began to continuously flow into Huo Yuhao's entire body. His body, which had been somewhat depleted from the continuous use of the Mangekyo Sharingan and ninjutsu, began to recover at an astonishing rate under the nourishment of this energy. Fatigue vanished completely, and even his mental force felt somewhat soothed. Huo Yuhao released his bite and looked at the 2 rows of rapidly healing teeth marks on Tang Ya's arm, genuinely surprised. Physical healing. Isn't this Karen's signature ability in Naruto? How did she awaken this ability? Seeing Huo Yuhao's astonished expression, a satisfied smile appeared on Tang Ya's face. How is it? This ability is quite convenient, right? After my spirit evolved that day, I discovered. Tang Ya looked at her own palm, a strange light flickering in her eyes. As I continuously developed the devouring attribute of the dark blue silver tree, the life attribute that originally belonged to the blue silver grass lineage didn't disappear. Instead, because it devoured a large amount of external life force, it became more concentrated and pure. I can store this life force within my body and also transfer it to my companions, quickly healing injuries and restoring spirit power. Tang Ya thought to herself. I've finally become a strong individual who can stand on my own. Whether in combat or support, I'm no longer the person I used to be. The weak me is dead. Huo Yuhao looked at her and roughly understood the principle. Interesting. She actually evolved an ability similar to Karen's. In Naruto, during the Hawk Team period, Sasuke was so reckless. If it weren't for Karen, his mobile blood bank, he would have died countless times. It seems I should pay more attention to Tang Ya in the future, she's a top-tier support. Huo Yuhao's expression turned serious. He stared into Tang Ya's eyes, his tone and address becoming solemn as he instructed. Tang Ya. Remember, this ability must never be known to others. Apart from me, absolutely no one else must bite your arm. Otherwise, your fate will be unimaginable. Huo Yuhao recalled the tragic experience of Karen in the Grass Ninja Village from the original story, where she was treated as a public blood bank, her body covered in bite marks. Seeing Huo Yuhao's serious gaze, a wave of warmth flowed through Tang Ya's heart. She nodded vigorously. Don't worry. I've only told you about this, as a fellow member of the Root organization. This matter came to an end. Huo Yuhao straightened his robe, flicked his wrist, and retrieved a brand new mask from his storage ring. It was a white fox mask, painted with eerie red patterns. Exactly the same mask as Uzumaki Menmas from the Naruto movie Road to Ninja. He slowly put on the mask. His entire aura underwent a dramatic change in an instant. No longer that youthful boy, but a deep, mysterious ruler, as if emerging from the dark void realm. Huo Yuhao adjusted his vocal cords, his voice becoming low and hoarse. Tang Ya. Next, your Akatsuki organization assessment officially begins. Let's go. Tang Ya looked at the now unfamiliar figure before her. Although she had some guesses in her heart, she still couldn't help but ask. Where are we going? Huo Yuhao turned around, his black robe fluttering in the wind. He looked into the distance, in the direction of Heaven Do City. From beneath the mask, 2 heart-trembling words came. Come. I'll take you, to annihilate a clan. Boom. Hearing these 6 words, Tang Ya's body trembled violently. Annihilate a clan. These 2 words were the nightmare of countless days and nights for her, and also her lifelong pursuit. Every time she mentioned revenge to Bebe, the response was always nauseating preaching's life, let go of hatred, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, or, the academy will handle it. Only evasions, only persuasion, only that hypocritical tolerance. How she longed for a promise like today's, straightforward, direct, and full of bloody resolve. No nonsense, no grand principles. Just one sentence, I'll take you to annihilate a clan. Tang Ya gazed at Huo Yuhao's back, which wasn't broad but was incredibly firm. Her vision gradually blurred. At this moment, Huo Yuhao's figure seemed to perfectly overlap with the part of her deep inside that craved power and revenge. Yuhao, in this world, probably only you, can understand me. Tang Ya took a deep breath. The confusion in her eyes completely dissipated, replaced by 2 blazing fires of vengeance. She quickly followed, her black robe fluttering. Yes. Chapter 44, Hayate dies in Shippuden.